Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, we got episode number, what number are we? 392. A lot going on, folks. We have for those of you that your age starts with the number 4, there may be a John Cicada comeback based on what The View did. And wait till we show you this. You can have a lot of fun with it. For some of you that watched the, what do you call it? The solar eclipse. It was eclipsing the solar. Yep. Apparently, according, and the insiders from, what do you call it, from The View are going to give you a lot of facts on what happened there.
It was just another day.
It was just another day. Yeah, that's right. So, a few other things.
Geniuses there.
DeSantis woos donors in South Florida and holds his first fire against Trump. Interesting. Are they unifying?
Playing nice.
There is a lawyer out there that some of you guys may want to hire, Attorney Stephanie Mueller. We'll show her to you, but just you better be nice. I'm just telling you in advance from Seattle, you better be nice. Squatter bars landlord from his own $2 million home. This is a Newsweek story we want to show you. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to see it. House Democrats push to rename Miami federal prison after Trump. Trump says states should chart their own path on abortion. Interesting. That's a very important issue. We'll get into Michigan protesters chant, "Death to America, death to Israel." Here we go. DOJ seeks prison time for women who stole Ashley Biden's diary. Vinny read the entire diary last night. Literally. Wow. Read the entire thing last 127 pages we read last night.
Yeah.
Okay. Representative Turner confident FISA will pass. This is not a warrantless surveillance of Americans. Okay. DOJ seeks prison time for women. Okay, we already said that one right there. What else we got here? RFK undercuts Democrats on J6, January 6th. Little evidence of a true insurrection. This is not good news for them on the other side. They're not happy. MSNBC Wallace says CEOs not supporting Biden is disgusting. Pick the guy not running for as an autocrat. Vatican blasts gender-affirming surgery, surrogacy, and gender theory as a violation of human dignity while the Pope is in a hospital, I believe. They did this. So Tom's got a different perspective on this. Dutch woman, 28, to be euthanized over mental illness after psychiatrist said it will never get any better. 99-cent store only closes all 371 locations over inflation and theft. My dad was a cashier at one for 15 years. School districts opens new multi-purpose center to help with workforce training and learning spaces in Dallas, an entrepreneurship program. Jamie Dimon's got some bad news for those who want interest rates to come down. Persistent inflation may lead to interest rates of 8% or more, Jamie Dimon warns. Apollo's Leon Black, billionaire, says he is so wealthy, he didn't know he'd pay Jeffrey Epstein $158 million. Can you imagine?
Right.
Hey, where did this $158 million go, Mr. Accountant? You know what? I'm so wealthy, I don't know if I paid Epstein for it. It's just an accident. It's not a big deal. I'm so rich. More students are dropping out of college, CNBC story. Here's why. Southwest Airlines flight makes emergency landing in Denver after engine part falls off Boeing 737 plane. San Francisco proposal would allow lawsuits over grocery stores closure. Do you know what that means? It's like the people in San Francisco are suing grocery stores for closing, saying that's not fair what you're doing, but not defending the business owners for people stealing from them. So what a weird story there to tell. Burger King and In-N-Out and other chain locations in California raise prices after minimum wage increase. Report, technology is the villain, California assemblyman says about his right to disconnect bill. And last but not least, Yellen, being a little bit of a gangster, says U.S. will not accept its industries being decimated by cheap Chinese imports and says she will not rule out possible tariffs on China green exports. And we got a couple other stories if we get to it. Having said that, couple things. Last Saturday, we had Jesse Waters on his new book, Get It Together. Some of you guys wanted it signed. We have 3 copies. Anybody that wants to participate in this raffle, you have till 10:30. Place an order on vtmerch.com, vtmerch.com. Over $50, you'll be part of the raffle to get one of the signed books. And if you place an order right now over $50, we will throw in a PBD Podcast Future Looks Bright mug, a keychain of Valuetainment, as well as a pin of Valuetainment. Go to vtmerch.com, place an order over $50,000. One of you 3 will get a signed copy of Jesse Waters' new book, Get It Together. Okay, having said that, let's get right into it. Most important issue is education. Guys, we got to get smarter, right? We got to get smarter, and there is no better professors than the ladies on The View to teach us about the eclipse of the solar eclipse that was taking place. Rob, if you could be kind enough to play this clip, because she's educating us that even Whoopi almost walked out.
But can you warn our viewers, though? You might actually get dumber. Like your brain might hurt.
Vinny, don't say that. I mean, listen, for some of you guys that are watching this, just, Vinny's trying to give you some kind of a disclaimer. Just watch it with an open mind. Like maybe you could learn something. Watch it with an open mind. Go ahead, Rob.
Leaving, we've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
John,
cicadas coming forward.
Another day.
No. 100 years. No. Two different. Well, this is what I heard.
Different
kinds of cicadas. Yes, 2 different times are coming.
The good cicadas and the bad cicadas.
But for the first time in many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Why do Whoopi not
Watch. Adam.
Sorry.
All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists, or something is returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground.
You know what?
It
happens. Listen, here's what I will tell you.
The eclipse, they've known about the eclipse.
If you think about it, if you want to pause this with the cicada, right? Every time we're together, if you think about it, it'd never be the same, okay? If you're not here, how can you stay away? How can you stay
I don't know.
away so long? Why can't we stay together? Oh, just give me a reason. Give me a reason. Because I don't want to say, I don't want to find another way to make it through the day without the view, right?
It's just
to make another day. All right, by the way, we're officially fired, but listen, the cicadas are coming. The cicadas on The View. So if you watch listen, if she helped people download Just Another Day, another 100,000 people downloaded, I think that's a great song. I applaud her for doing that, but wanted to make sure we start off the podcast today with some education, folks. Yes. That the cicadas and the cicadas are coming, and it may be linked to climate change if you're watching The View. Tom, do you want to add a little bit of fact check here with this, if you can help us out a little bit with the cicada?
It's really interesting. I've never seen a Nobel Prize winner on The View, and now I think I understand why. It's like this is different. No, there's cyclical things that happen naturally, and cicadas, which is like a flock of
cicada, that's neither here nor there.
Bugs, it's like a red tide. Every now and then you see at the beach, you see red tides. You have these algae blooms and stuff, and a bunch of fish die. Everything doesn't lead back to climate change, right?
You don't know, though. You don't know for a fact. You can't make a comment like that, Tom. It's an irresponsible comment.
Maybe.
Because it's a seasonal thing, Tom, because John Cicada is going to come back.
Well, if John Cicada is going to go back on tour, maybe he comes back every 17 years and goes on tour. As opposed to a flock of bugs that just
First
blooms
of all,
up.
I know you guys. I hope you're not making fun of John Cicada.
No, what do you mean?
Because that song to me is a sick song.
You realize somebody today's going to go up to him like, John, they're singing the song.
No, listen.
PBD podcast.
By the way, I guarantee you some people right now cannot get the song. Can you imagine they're at work? Just another day. Are you singing John Cicada? Yeah. I am. I'm so sorry.
PBD
I was watching
this.
John Cicada.
Can I just fact check Tom for a second just about the cicadas?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. It dates back to 1961 is what happened. It was actually the cicadas. It was a aggregation company in Cuba, of all places.
Really?
And for socioeconomic, political reasons, they emigrated to Miami, Florida, of all places.
The cicadas. It was a big family.
Exactly. And then
Cuban family.
What happened was
Climate change came next.
they started growing up there. They started raising their people there.
Yeah.
They actually started studying it at Hialeah High School, which then turned into University of Miami.
Okay, now we're going to go into the story.
This is actually John Cicada's bio.
All right.
Who grew up in Miami.
Okay. Did he really grow up in Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
From Miami.
Right.
He went to Hialeah
By the way, how old
And it
is
was
John
interesting.
Cicada?
John Cicada was born in
61?
1961. Like,
Okay, so
was reading his bio.
he's 63. He's 63 years old.
Wow.
There's no way he's 63.
He was born in
years old.
Havana.
How, what do you mean? He was old when I was.
Good-looking guy right there, man.
Oh,
John, wherever you are, shout out
Bro,
to you.
shout out, John.
Your song at least
Yes.
increased the U.S. population by 1 million people.
He's a-
because
And
it was
his
a-
family was known as the Swarm. So it's like
Got it.
He's a Miami guy.
Right.
Hialeah High, University of Miami.
Big solar
another
eclipse
day.
guy.
Yeah.
Big solar eclipse guy. But
Shout out
anyways,
to you.
okay, so since we're on the Florida topic, let's talk about some Florida stuff, especially with Miami. House Democrats push to rename Miami federal prison after Trump.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is Adam's favorite story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come to you first, Adam, to
Thank
see
you,
where
sir.
you can educate us here with this.
That hair.
House Democrats introduced legislation proposing to rename the Miami Federal Correctional Institution in Florida as the Donald J. Trump Federal Correctional Institution, contrasting with a Republican proposal to rename Washington Dulles International Airport after the president. Representative Jerry Connolly emphasized the symbolism, stating, when our Republican colleagues introduced their bill to rename Dulles after Donald Trump, I said the more fitting option would be to rename a federal prison. The bill's sponsor includes Representative Jared Moskowitz and John Germandi. Amid Trump's legal challenges, including indictments in 4 separate prosecutions, Democrats aim to rename the prison near Mar-a-Lago, with Representative Germandi stating, I cannot think of a more fitting tribute. Adam.
Well, this is one big trolling story that I don't think any of this is happening. But full disclosure, as somebody that in college spent 24 hours in this prison for
What?
Yeah, shit went down in college, bro.
Okay.
It went down.
All right.
For a fight. Never want to go back there. Put it this way: whether it's Trump prison or the current name of the prison.
Listen,
Miami
if
Federal Correctional-
they do name it Trump prison, I think Trump will go in there and say we need to remodel the entire place, a nice spa,
Yep.
gold bars,
toilets,
Gold bars.
Can you imagine?
The bars are
Beautiful
gonna be-
bars.
it's gonna
The
be
music,
beautiful.
Sinead
Beautiful
O'Connor,
prison you've ever done singing.
nothing compares.
to you. But this started with Republicans trolling Democrats, trying to change Dulles International, which is
Yeah. The Dulles.
there's two airports in D.C. There's Reagan and Dulles, named after Alan
Dulles. The
CIA.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we can
weird
talk
guy.
about. So this is their retribution for Trump. But none of this is happening. No names are being changed. This is all trolling. But if you actually want to get serious for a second, to my Democratic friends, you know how they say, fuck around and find out?
Yep.
Well, the Democrats fucked around and found out. And what happened was DeSantis was elected in 2022, and it was the largest margin of victory in 40 years for a governor. So, and Miami-Dade, which traditionally votes blue, was plus 11 for the Republicans.
Insane.
Okay?
Nuts.
So
We're never going blue.
just
under
you know,
great leadership by our good and great friend,
there you go.
Mayor.
Suarez.
Well, obviously Mayor Suarez is the freaking man. But the reality is this trolling thing isn't going to happen. But
Got it. So let's go to the next story. Got it. So this is a story we just with Miami Trump. We'll see what's going to happen there. All right. Next story I'm going to get into. I'm going to talk about what Jamie Dimon brought up, Tom. So be ready for this one here. Actually, let's go to the 99-cent story only. 99-cent only stores close all 371 locations over inflation and theft. Okay. And keep in mind, again, my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store in Inglewood, California, right next to Great Western Forum for 15 years. After more than 4 decades in business, discount retail chain 99 Cent Only will be shuttering all of its 371 stores across 4 states, citing unmanageable inflation and theft. According to company executives, the recent failure of 99 Cent Only can be traced back to a variety of factors, including lingering effects of the COVID lockdowns, as well as the struggling national economy and the explosion of retail theft. In industry terms, shrink refers to inventory lost to shoplifting. This is a different shrinkage that takes place. Fraud or administrative errors In recent years, rates of retail theft, particularly in the form of flash mob robberies, have skyrocketed, costing major corporations millions of dollars per year. For example, in 2022, New York City retailers lost a combined total, damn, Tom, $4.4 billion to theft, and similar trends were reflected in almost every major city in the country. So I want you to think about this. Rob, can you go to an inflation calculator, okay? If you go type in the company, just go to 99 cent only Wikipedia if you could. Go to 99 cent only Wikipedia. If you go to the Wikipedia, they got started in what year? I think it's 1982. Right there, you see it. It's right there, Rob. Yeah. Zoom in, 1982, they got started. Okay. So they got started in 1982. And imagine these guys with ideas. They come up and they say, hey, Vinny, Tom, Adam, Rob, and everybody else listening here. I got an idea. What if we start a concept when we name our company 99 cent only, which means all the products that we sell will be under 99 cents, okay? What a great idea, okay? Now, did somebody ever ask how long this concept could work because of this thing called inflation? Do you know what 99 cent in 1982 is today? Look at that right there, Vinny. $3.18. Wow. Okay? So the margins are going to keep getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And now they came up with a new concept, which is what? What's the other one now? There's
Five Below, Dollar General.
Five Below. Well, Dollar Tree and stuff are still around.
Yeah, they're going to do their best to be around because some of these products they're buying it for 10 cents. So even if it more than 3x, it's 30 cents. So there's still margin of 70 cents in it. But it's just a matter of time before this kind of a concept goes out of business. It's not sustainable. And it's quite frankly a very challenging business with all the small little things you got to buy and the theft and all this stuff. My dad, you know how many times my dad was held up at the 99 cent store when he was, but anyways, the point being, inflation is going to put this business model out of business but for a trend, a period, it could definitely work. Look at this here, by the way. Five Below operates 1,400 stores in 44 states, employing over 90,000 associates with 2 distribution centers. That's as of 2020, okay? 1,500 employees that they have. This is the Five Below. This will still be around for a couple more decades, few more decades. But eventually, inflation is going to put all these guys out of business.
But it sucks because once Biden came in, no joke, every dollar store went to $1.25. Every price changed. You know what I mean? And think about the people that, like, you know, the neighborhood that I lived in, North Hollywood, it was kind of ghetto. That place was packed with people that didn't have enough. Like, what are those people going to do now? You know what I mean? They got to go spend, for something that was 99 cents, they're going to go spend $4, $5 for something at Ralph's or another supermarket.
Tom, what do you say about it? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was really upset to see this because, once again, bad policies have consequences, and the consequences usually lands right on the middle class of America or people that are using this. These stores are providing, access to goods in their community, and there's 371 of these stores there that are providing low-cost options to consumers who need them. And there's 3 things here. Inflation is absolutely correct, as PBD was talking about. But the first thing that happened when we went to lockdown, and, you're not getting deliveries from 99 cent stores.
Yep.
When you go to lockdown, you hurt the people that had jobs at those stores. You hurt the owner of the stores. And then you turn the page and you go over what happened with inflation. And then with what started with the the riots that happened and concurrent with COVID, you then had this blue cities, I'm talking to you, who didn't enforce the proper law and order, and these mobs who come in and rob stores. We saw CVS, people coming in with these giant shopping bags, just sweeping stuff off the shelves. It happened in 99 cent stores. So when they're that, and by the way, the number PBD said, it was $4.4 billion that was lost to flash mobs in New York City.
Yeah.
Just New York City.
Total. In all stores.
Yeah, in New York City.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if it's $4.4 billion in New York City, imagine what it is to the 99 cent store across all these states. And so 99 cent store didn't go out of business because there's not a consumer. It didn't go out of business because it was not a good idea. It went out of business because they suffered shrinkage, which was policies of the cities not defending them. And then they had to hire security guards, and they got to put gates up, and they have all these things that increases cost. They were run out of business by bad policies by Americans.
And by the way, how many how many people in the community, my dad worked at as a 99 cent store, loved my dad. You know how many of them were like, hey, David, one time I'm giving a talk, Tom, in Granada Hills at the office. And a lady comes, and I'm telling the story of my dad. I retired him, 99-cent store, Inglewood, right next to Great Western Farm, all this stuff. The lady's like, is your daddy's name David? I said, yeah, my daddy's. Can you show me a picture of his? I showed a picture of my dad to this lady in the speech I'm giving. It's like 40 people in the audience. I'm selling the business. And she says, we haven't seen him for a while. We loved your dad. Everybody in the community used to come in and buy their stuff and do their things. But unfortunately, part of it is inflation. Part of it is bad policies. Part of it is the fact that these businesses no longer feel safe being in these communities. You don't need a 99-cent only store in Beverly Hills or in, Highland Park or in whatever the richest parts of Miami or Palm Beach. The communities that need these types of stores need to protect them to make sure they can be profitable so they don't shut down. So whoever is upset that they're shutting down is because without profit, these guys cannot stick around. You want your businesses around you to make money or else they go out of business. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, the thing that I want to focus on is the theft and the robbery. Because you've told the story about how your father was stuck up how many times?
Many, many times. He wouldn't give the money. He would take out the Bible.
Wow.
Really? So funny. Talk to him when you go home today.
I will.
So how I always say follow the money. I mean, the famous quote, like when you're broke, you're desperate, you're stupid. These we have a 99-cent store, right over here in the public.
Not anymore.
Well,
used to.
They closed down in 4 different states. I think California, New York. I don't know the other 2 states. But just think about how desperate you have to be to rob a 99-cent store.
Yeah.
How much money is actually in the cash register? $200, $300. It's not like they got 10 grand sitting in there. The average bill is probably $10.
Yeah.
So you're talking about poor people or people that are really thrifty, trying to save that money. Who are just trying to get goods at low-priced items, and then there's some idiot comes in, robs the whole thing, ruins it for everybody. But again, the bad policies have these.
By the way, let me tell you a crazy number.
Yeah.
You ready? In 2017, what do you think 99-cent only's top-line revenue was? You're saying there's not a lot of money in it. In 2017, what do you think was 99 cents? They didn't have a couple $100. By the way, they made a lot of money.
No, across 1,000 stores.
For sure.
Each store is in printing money.
But we'll do the math right now. Let's take 1,000 stores. What do you think their top line revenue was?
For all companies?
No, top line revenue, 99-cent only in 2017.
In 2017?
$2 billion.
Rob, can you just type in 99-cent only? I don't want to put
$2 billion, that was right? Was I right?
I was going to say $1 billion.
Okay.
Is it $2 billion?
So $2 billion was their revenue.
Top line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now check this out. The number, it's $2 billion and $60 million. You know what their net income was in 2017? $118 million, Tom, in net income.
5%.
That's
That may sound like a big number, ladies and gentlemen. That's 5%.
Yeah.
5.5%, 5.8%, right? So you're making $118 million in profits. Now take the $2 billion and divide it by 1,000 stores. Let's
Is that
do
how many stores there are?
Whatever the number.
Gotcha.
If we look at how many stores they got, let me look at this here. So $2 billion. At this point, when they closed down, they had how many? 371 locations?
In 4 states, though.
Okay. So let's do $2
probably
billion.
More than 1,000 states. Probably more than 1,000.
Well, America doesn't have more than 1,000 states, but it only has 50 states. Now this becomes the view. So go read the cicadas on how many states we have in America. If you take if
it's 371
if you take $2 billion and you divide it by 1,000 stores, it's $2 million a year. $2 million a year, yeah, that's still $166,000 a month.
5% of that.
That's $166,000 a month. That's still $5,500 a day. 50, that's still that's
just another day.
Just another day without you, Adam. But okay, so now this also leads me to what's going on in another city, Tom, not just New York, but we got to go to San Francisco Bay and see what's going on with them. Watch this here.
Do we have
I want you to think about this policy. How crazy is this? San Francisco proposal would allow lawsuits over grocery store closures. San Francisco Supervisor Dean Preston unveiled the Grocery Protection Act, requiring grocery stores to provide 6 months written notice before closure. Who the hell are you for me to have to tell you if I'm closing down or not? Backed by a 1984 proposal vetoed by then Mayor Dianne Feinstein. Preston emphasized the necessity of community input, stating our communities need notice an opportunity to be heard, and a transition plan. How about you protect that business before they have to tell you what's going on? The proposed legislation outlines exceptions for unforeseen circumstances such as natural disasters, but mandates practical notice and collaboration with neighborhood residents and the Office of Economic and Workforce Development to explore alternatives amidst rising store closures in San Francisco, exemplified by a Whole Foods location with 568 emergency calls in 13 months and a Safeway store. That is insane, Tom. Facing closure, the Grocery Protection Act seeks to address broader challenges, emphasizing the need for sustainable solutions amidst community concerns. Tom.
Well, first of all, let's do some math here. 568 emergency calls in 13 months. 13 times 30 days is, oh my gosh, 390 days. And let's see. So that's basically, we're coming up on 1.5 emergency calls a day. 568. Think about it, folks. Think about this. What if Mike Tyson said this? I want to fight longer. If I knock you out in the second round, I'm suing you because I wanted to fight longer. And so you have San Francisco policies and refusing to, by the way, this is also the grocery stores and CVS is what we were just talking about. You can find any number of videos watching people coming in with those giant bags, just sweeping stuff off the shelves, sweeping it off the shelves to the point. And then the CVS people, they told their employees, don't touch them, don't bother them, don't get in a fight. Maybe they have a knife, don't get hurt. Just let them do it. So now, after all this is happening and it's so bad, the public policy, now you say, listen, I'm going out of business, I have to close. So in other words, policy knocks out the business owner. Now they're going to sue the business owner for being knocked out. That's what we're looking at here. And really, here's the problem. They are trying to find someone to blame. The bottom line is the liberal freaks that are running government there are looking for someone to blame. Oh, they're greedy, so they're closing stores. Wait a minute. That's not how greed works. Greed works, I want to scale the business. I want more stores in more neighborhoods. I want to beat the other guy. I want to win, and I want to make profit. That's how greed works. So when them saying, oh, greedy business owners are closing stores, we'll give the community the right to sue them. Really? How does this work? This is insanity.
Yeah, so to me, I think about it from a couple different standpoints. I'll say this. Tom, what is the law in San Francisco for theft?
Under $1,000, you're scot-free.
They've moved it, but yes.
Did it go high? I'm going minimum 1,000.
Right there. Here we go. If the value of the item,
Vinny was right.
If the value of the item is more than $950, then it is grand theft. Grand theft is a felony. Petty theft, if the value of the item is $950 or lower, then it's called petty theft. Petty theft is a misdemeanor. But what I'm trying to say is, in San Francisco, so what happens? If I go to a store and I rob and I leave, what happens to me? Do they just let me go?
Well, when you have Gavin Newsom and them telling people, listen, don't stop these people or you're going to get in trouble. Because, by the way, a $950, what are they stopping you and going, wait a minute, like a receipt checker at Walmart? How the hell can you gauge?
They were not arresting people.
They were not arresting people.
They weren't prosecuting.
And then remember, Tommy, they were like, don't touch them. Don't try to get involved with them. And you nailed it, Tom. It's going to the leadership. Okay. These are the voters.
So then if that's the case, I would say, you want to entertain something like this? Here's what we could do. We help us make more profit. Mm-hmm. Help us hit our numbers. Okay, and the way you could do that is to make sure you protect people from feeling safe when they come here. Rob, you can pull up one of the videos how people have chains around a freaking 7-Eleven store in San Francisco. This is a few months ago. By the way, chains. You have to look at this, Rob. I'm going to send this to you, Rob. If you can play this, okay? If a business is making money and they feel safe, and the customers feel safe to go there, guess what? No problem. We'll definitely tell you when we're going out of business. We'll announce it to you 6 months before, okay? Then what you could do is you could potentially have some kind of an update that's happening. Hey, we're thinking about shutting down, and we're going to do, and most businesses anyways give a 6-month update. Like, hey, we're going through a sale process right now. We're probably going to be shutting down Q4 of next year or Q4 of this year. You got 9 months. You got 6 months to know about it. But if they're able to give me protection where I'm making profit, I have no problem with it. Watch this, Rob. Play this clip on what's going on in San Francisco to see how ugly and nasty it is.
This is right, like recent?
No, this is 8 months ago. Watch this. Can you put the audio, because it's just news. You can play the audio. Watch this.
On Geary Boulevard and 17th Avenue in San Francisco,
Adam
witnessed multiple shoplifters. One of them even took the time to explain why he simply didn't pay.
Nice guy.
Off
It's San Francisco, bro.
This employee told me they're hit anywhere between 15 to 20 times a day. Out of frustration, a week and a half ago,
Look at that.
they decided to chain
You're
out their
locking
freezer
up
section.
ice cream?
This is one of the hardest hit areas in their store.
Are you kidding
Now,
me?
When you want something, you have to press this button. A message goes off on the overhead speaker, and an employee comes to unlock the freezer. According to the employee,
you
we spoke to,
kidding me?
company
This is San
policy
Francisco,
says
folks, 8 months
they
ago.
can't challenge shoplifters.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
This
that's still
customer
happening. What,
has-
you think they stopped? You didn't
Yeah.
stop? Here's my
got
question to you, though.
something for you,
I know incentivizing, they incentivize bad behavior, but can you explain to me, just in layman terms, as the politician, as the mayor, as the people that are running San Francisco, what defunding the police and making a $950, like, why are you doing that? You want this to happen. Why? I'm confused. Do you want people just to go on Amazon and do these big corporation buys? Because they're killing these companies. They're killing the small and mom and pop shops. It's like it's a coordinated effort. This isn't by accident, Tom. This is by design.
Yeah, this is income redistribution, number one. This is also the city trying to, reduce its welfare expense by actually, you move the consequence off to $950. You do not enforce arrests of people for misdemeanors. And basically what you have is income redistribution, where corporate America is basically providing food stamps and things for people who just want to take it. Unfortunately, if you take a look at it, you've got high dollar items and alcohol and things that are being stolen. And so the question really is, all they have to do is move the law back down, move it back down to $250, that it's grand theft for $250, number one. Number two, you take and you put officers. You don't need a squad of officers and a police dog. You need one guy. You need one guy, at various stores.
A deterrent.
To provide deterrent. Yeah. And that, because otherwise, if you tell the store, you have to live with the shrinkage and you have to hire it, there's also lawsuits. Let's say Pat's dad was working in San Francisco at a store, and he reaches out and he tells somebody, don't steal that. And then he gets injured. Then he sues his employer and said, you didn't provide security and protection for me, and a robber that is coming in every day hurt me. So that's why they tell their employees, don't interfere and get yourself hurt, because they don't want to get sued. And so the city knows it and understands it, that the path to solution here is actually not difficult, but the city, especially...
So, Tom, this is what it makes me think about. Here's what it makes me think about.
Not going to do it.
Yeah, it makes me think about this. I wrote a few things down. So they're either doing this, because they want the vote. And to keep the vote, you have to make sure you keep the poor. There's a lot of power in keeping the poor. Adam, you're good?
Can we coloring?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. There's power in keeping the poor. There's a lot of power in keeping the poor. There's a lot of power in keeping the uneducated. What was the most powerful thing about the movie Book of Eli? What was it?
With
this one book, I can control the world, right? With this one book. Yep. And he was one of the only guys that knew how to read. What do you got to do? You don't want to teach other people how to read. That was the way a lot of envious people that are driven by power and force do. I don't want to keep you poor, keep you dumb, keep you uneducated. One time, one of my friends called me. He says, hey, Pat, I know you're all about recommending books to your employees and all these guys, but some of these guys are starting to question some of the things that we're doing that we can do it better, man. I'm thinking about no longer letting my guys read books. I said, that's the whole idea. You want your guys to be reading books because you want them to develop and be thinking in a different way. So one, they're either wanting these communities to be able to get away with this because they keep their vote. Number two, they want to destroy these cities so people leave, okay? Number three, they hate success and they're envious of anybody with wealth and success. Those three are the ones. Or they're just terrible leaders and they're dumb. So we have to pick and choose. Which of those four is it?
I don't think it's the dumb one.
You think they want to keep the vote?
I
Do you
think
think it's they want to destroy the people because they want them to leave to other cities? Or do you think they hate success and they're envious of people with wealth?
I think number one would be my number one.
1 and 3.
Okay, well, guess what happens with 1 and 3? Here's what happens with 1 and 3. The same way the 99-cent store model has a lifespan because eventually and forget about it's Biden's fault. No, I'm not talking about that. Under any administration, that model that's tied, if the brand is tied to a number, you're eventually not going to succeed, right? eventually the people that you keep poor, you know what happens to a couple of them? A couple of them realize how dirty you are, and what do? They revolt against you, okay? That happens in movies. That happens with many different things. And number 3, you hate success and wealthy people? Guess what? They are never, ever losing any opportunities of going to another company, another country, another state. People are always looking for great businesses. So those two are going to destroy a city, and then eventually they're going to be like, what happened to San Francisco? You know, we used to be like the greatest city in the world. Well, bad policies drove a lot of great people out. And by the way, here's what's even weird about this. If Adam, you got anything you want to add to this?
I'll be quick on this one. So Dave Chappelle actually said it best. So Dave Chappelle is Killing Me Softly. It was in, 1999? I'll sum it up real quick. He tells a story about he's doing stand-up. And a limo driver picks him up. And the limo driver's all cool. And he's like, hey, man, where you from? D.C.? Yeah, man, D.C. cool. All right, cool. Yeah, what you doing in town? Yeah, I do a comedy show. And he gets a phone call. He's like, say what? Hold on. He did what? I'm on my way. And then all of a sudden he starts driving off. And Dave Chappelle's just in the back of the limo and he goes, I just look around and I see gun store, liquor store, gun store. Where the fuck are you taking me? And he realized, oh shit, he's going to the hood.
Yeah.
And amazing thing from Dave Chappelle. But the point is this. It comes down to 3 things. Supply and demand, investing and divesting.
I'm still trying to find out what purpose of that story.
So the point is this. When you start eliminating necessary corporations and stores from the communities that need it most, the 99-cent store example we just talked about for 10 minutes, who needs it most? The poor people.
Of course.
You just had a cicada moment.
Yes.
Cicada?
Cicada moment. But by the way,
we talk about the San Francisco stores that are closing grocery stores. People need decent food.
Yeah.
So they don't eat at freaking Burger King and McDonald's and shitty stores every single day. Chick-fil-A, shout out to that. Walgreens, we did a story about 2 months ago. Ariana Presley was the congresswoman in Boston, slamming Walgreens for shutting down because everything was getting robbed. The point is, these bad policies have consequences, whether it's a 99-cent store, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a Walgreens or a pharmacy.
For what it's worth.
With law and order,
short. You said short answer. So for what it's worth, Rob, for what it's worth, I think it's the perfect time to transition to this. Is it Thursday or Wednesday night? Thursday night.
Thursday night at 8
by the way, I want you. Adam hasn't done comedy for a while.
Yeah.
Thursday night at the Miami Improv
at 8 p.m. But show up a little bit early. I'm headlining.
7:30, Vinny.
Vinny is headlining.
Yes.
Vinny is headlining, but Adam's going to open.
No.
I am wanting. Listen. Show up. Rob's going to be there as well. I think Adam is testing his comedy now.
This is the Valuetainment Takeover is going to be at the Improv.
All right, let's put the link below. But let's continue.
Come on, Rob.
Thursday night, Miami Improv.
We are all. Every one of us is limited. What do they say in golf? Mulligan. What is
one mulligan?
You get one cicada. Cicada per podcast. All right, all of us only have one cicada, so you don't have any more cicadas left.
Adam's got a great act. He gets up, tries to describe the economy.
Worst headshot.
All right, next. Let's go to the next one, which is kind of weird. In the same place, San Francisco, technology is the villain. California Assemblyman says about his right to disconnect bill. New proposed legislation could make employees less accessible to their bosses after hours, leaving them free to enjoy their time outside of work. Assembly member Matt Haney, Democrat, San Francisco, introduced on Monday Assembly Bill 2571, which, if passed, would make California the first state to guarantee workers a right to disconnect, eliminating the pressure to respond to calls, emails, and texts outside of working hours. The entire concept resonated with what I've seen during and after the pandemic, when the lines between when we're working and you're not have become so blurred that for many people, they have never have time to switch off, Haney said, with smartphones obscuring with boundaries between work and home life. Haney affirmed, if there had to be a villain in the story, it's the technology, not the boss. Okay, so anyway, so capitalists can you imagine this guy? Lives in San Francisco, tax money, most of it's coming from where? All these Silicon Valley companies that are startups, that are behemoth companies that generate a lot of jobs. It looks good for these guys, but no. guess what? These startups, all these great startups were only built by people that work 9 to 5. You know that, right?
Of course.
I mean, great startups never happen because after 5 o'clock, they shut it down.
Of course.
They all take 2-hour breaks, lunchtime, okay? They come in 9 o'clock, but so what? If they come in at 9:45, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Some of the greatest companies in the world, all these trillion-dollar companies were founded by people who only work from 9 to 5 with a 2-hour lunch break. This guy's brilliant. Got to give this guy credit. Tom, any thoughts on this brilliant guy right here that wants people to, not have people communicate with them after hours?
Anyway, Assemblyman Heine here, I think has got it all wrong. Wait, I'm sorry, that was Haney. I called him Heine. Well, he's a complete ass, so maybe that makes sense. I think when you sit back there and you try to cross, the lines here, somewhere between, an intention about life, work-life balance and reality, this guy, is two bong hits short of logic, because he's sitting there saying to himself, I want to help people, that the whole problem is people need work-life balance. Well, then have a different job, take a job that doesn't require you to do that. There's plenty of jobs, maybe government jobs. Be a cop. When you're off duty, you're off duty. You set your gun aside and you don't work. Maybe find a job like that. But meanwhile, other people have thriving careers and things are going, because guess what? Life can be, things happen after hours. Servers stop after hours. And if you're in IT, you fix it. And guess what? You get a bonus because you're really good at it. So there's something to be said for work-life balance. There's something to be said for, technology limits and things like on kids, so that they don't just, vegetate and skip homework and stuff. But this guy's going to put a bill in place that basically impacts the availability of workers in their free time. Number one, this doesn't work. And number two, this is just completely wrong-headed.
Vinny, thoughts on this?
I just concur with whatever Tom said. I agree 100%.
After Tom's Heine joke, I think we got to put him up on Thursday night.
Thursday night. I
want to audition. I want to get there.
Well, let me tell you what happened here. I was watching a video of, what do you call it? What's his name? Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's sharing on the Adam Schefter, which I don't know if you know who Adam Schefter is.
Of course, Adam Schefter.
Schefter is phenomenal.
NFL.
Yeah, NFL. Phenomenal.
Incredible.
He's a guy that when you watch him, it's incredible on what he says, what he does. I just really like the way he gives his commentary. He says he shows the business card that Jim Harbaugh passed down from Harbaugh's father, Jack, on what the rules are. These are the rules we follow. So if you type in, Rob, Jim Harbaugh rules for life business card, okay? These are the rules for life business card. Let me read them to you. By the way, this family raises studs. Studs. It doesn't matter which son it is. They're all studs. Maybe the father knows how to raise leaders. So Mr. Haney, out of San Francisco, let me read you his father's values that he shared. Let me read them to you. Ready? Let's go through a couple of them here together. Number one, seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added onto you. Number two is attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Number three, who could possibly have it better than you? The answer, of course, is what? Nobody. And by the way, if you've ever seen Jim Harbaugh do this with his player, who has it better than us? Nobody, right? Yep. Number four, better today than yesterday. Better tomorrow than today. Number 5 and 6 are two of my favorites, he says. 5, heroes have no days off. You want to be a hero? Heroes have no days off. Maybe some of you that are watching is saying, what an extreme position to take. You watch their two sons' dreams become a reality, whooping some ass, one with Baltimore Ravens, I believe, and the other one with Michigan. And the guy almost took a regular quarterback, Kaepernick, to Super Bowl and won a championship, Tom, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. He was the coach there, right, with San Francisco 49ers.
Yes. Well, the Hard Bowl was both Harbaughs, imagine his pride. He had two sons competing against each other in the Super Bowl.
Sick. Right. Think about that. Let me continue here, right? Heroes have no days off, okay? Next, 6, your fate is in your hands. Nobody controls your fate but you. Number 7, think, innovate, find solutions. By your talent and effort, you will be known. By your talent and effort, you will be known. 8, choose a great role model. Watch them emulate them, then make them proud. What an incredible rule. Next, 9. A smile being pleasant is a small piece of price to pay for the goodwill and affection of others.
Wow.
10. Discipline yourself daily to be physically fit for life. 11. Great effort equals great results. 12. Stop trying to win all your fights in the first round.
Wow.
Powerful. 13. What we do in life echoes in eternity. 14. Seek long and trusting friendships by being happy and helpful for the other guy's success. That's the part about envy. I'm going to read that one more time. Seek long and trusting friendships by being happy and helpful for the other guy's success. 15. The best customer is a satisfied one. 17. The only job you start at the top is digging a hole. Wow. Everything else, you start at the flipping bottom. 17. The golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. 18. Here's advice. ABCs for picking a good school. Academics, ball, college environment. 19. 3 keys to happiness in descending order. 3. Pick a job you love. 2. Outwork your competition. 1. Marry wisely. 20 is the cherry on the top. Contemplating a career move? Do what is best for your family personally and professionally, a place where you'll be happy and productive and where you are wanted and they like what you do and how you do it. Follow the direction. Keep doing you. It's working. God bless you and yours, Jim Harbaugh. Sure. The reigning NCAA football national champion signs off. What a freaking message. You know why I love this message? Because this guy from San Francisco is telling people to work from certain hours. Maybe they don't have a small dream like you do. Maybe they didn't want to just be a regular guy having a small little job. Who are you to dictate how big somebody wants to think and how big of a life they want to build? If a person casts a vision to a team and they go to Michigan and the guy says, you want to win a championship? Here's how we're going to be training. You want to be going into the NFL? This is what is required of you. Oh my God, that's too hard. That's too tough. Well, it's not made for everybody, specifically not this Haney guy. It's made for people who want to go above and beyond that create hundreds of thousands of jobs worldwide, like all those businesses started in Silicon Valley that you criticize, and they didn't work only from 8 to 5. They worked their tails off. What an incredible message by the Harbaugh family to see who they're duplicating, right? Powerful when you think about the impact proper affirmations can have in you. Go ahead, Al.
I love that list. And look, my dad went to University of Michigan. I'm a Detroit guy, like born and raised in Miami, but my dad's from Detroit. This guy just won a national championship. Jim Harbaugh, he's the younger brother. He's 60 years old, Jim. Now he just took the head coaching job for the Chargers. Yep. So he's going to replace the coach that just left L.A. John Harbaugh, the older brother, he's won Super Bowl with Baltimore. That was the Harbaugh Bowl. I think it was 2012. That was Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, it was in New Orleans with the power outage.
Exactly.
Yep.
Incredible. His quarterback just won MVP this year. Yeah. So talk about resume, and it started with the father. But I'll tell you this, and I'll bring it back to basically the entrepreneurs out there. At the end of the day, you need to bet on yourself. If you are willing to pay the price. So for instance, in my field, in your field, we are commission-based. In the insurance business, the financial service business, you don't make money unless you make sales. Yep. Every single guy that works for PHP knows what I'm talking about. There's no salary. There's no base. And you need to say, all right, eat what you kill, get up every single day and bust your ass. And if you know that, for instance, in the insurance business, I love what you talk about, that insurance sales are made after 6 p.m., right? What percentage of insurance sales are made after 6 p.m.?
90%.
Okay. True. So if you're thinking you're going to work 95 in a commission-based world, you got another thing coming. You got to bet on yourself. You got to bust your freaking ass.
It's just a dumb policy.
Exactly.
So it's a dumb policy. Again, it's a dumb policy by somebody who's not in the arena. Somebody that's on the outside of the arena that wants to tell what the guy to do inside the arena. The guy in the arena is getting hit from every angle, criticized, condemned. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. You did this wrong. What about this? You're such an idiot. You're so this. All you did. And then meanwhile, the guy's like, listen, just relax. Let us perform. If we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. But you guys keep criticizing, screaming, hollering. We'll do our part. Love that list by Harbaugh. Okay, let's keep going. Since we're talking Michigan, I thought it's appropriate to go to this next Michigan story. It's not the same kind of a story, but Michigan protesters chant death to America and death to Israel. Okay? Interesting to see this happen. And now, Rob, is there a video of this taking place? This is a real video of this taking place. Okay, so let me read this to you. Muslim demonstrators in Dearborn, Michigan rallied chanting death to America and death to Israel during an Al-Quds Day event amidst global outrage over the recent killing of 7 aid workers in Gaza by an Israeli airstrike. Activist Tariq Bazi criticized the U.S. government involvement in funding atrocities and directed chants against Israel, declaring the chants death to Israel has become the most logical chant shouted across the world today. The Wall Street Journal depiction of Dearborn as America's jihad capital. Wow, Wall Street Journal said this.
Yeah.
Sparked Mayor Abdullah Hammoud to enhance police presence due to escalating anti-Muslim sentiment, while Stephen Stalinsky stood by his characterization of the city as hotbed of hate. Can you play this clip, Rob?
Malcolm X said, and I quote, "We live in one of the rottenest countries that has ever existed on this earth. It's not Genocide Joe that has to go. It's the entire system that has to go. Any system that would allow such atrocities and such devilry to happen and would support it, such a system does not deserve to exist on God's earth." And so when these fools ask us if Israel has the right to exist, the chant death to Israel has become the most logical chant shouted across the world today.
Seriously? Who is this guy? Do you know who this guy is?
I have no idea who he is.
Imam Khomeini
Activist
recognized.
Tariq
Okay, Rob, let me
Bazi.
see what he says about Khomeini. Imam Khomeini recognized that Israel is an evil settler. Can you play it?
Recognize that Israel is an evil settler colonialist project. He realized it is a cancer, and he established this day. Israel, before this, brothers and sisters, was a sacred cow. Nobody could criticize Israel. Everybody was terrified of being
Go ahead, Rob. Go
anti-Semitic.
ahead. Adam, thoughts on this?
I'm going to let Vinny go first on this one.
Well,
He's got things in our
I
response.
think, Adam, we're going to see eye to eye because
Go
I
ahead.
am, and I know you guys will have the same sentiment. I am sick and tired of Americans shitting on America. I'm done. I'll start low, from athletes kneeling during the national anthem, to staying in their locker room, not even coming out, to actors saying, and artists, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to leave this country. And now Muslim Americans in Dearborn, Michigan, chanting death to America. Okay, first of all, I think there should be a law. If you utter some stupid shit like that, you lose your, whoever's in the crowd, PBD, loses their citizenship, and you go back to whatever fucking country that you come from. Number one, death to America? Really? Have we not learned our lesson? When people like that, like an extremist says some shit like that, what do you think happens next with that type of dialogue, okay? And I believe in freedom of speech, but saying that should be a terroristic threat and taken seriously, because and by the way, I would say I hope the FBI finds out who are those people in there chanting death to America, but guess what? The FBI doesn't have time to do that, Tom. They're going after grandmothers who were outside the Capitol building on January 6th. Enough is enough.
Or
like,
a pastor that says something, you know, and they say, "Oh, that's hate speech." This isn't hate speech.
Oh no, 100. Oh, for sure. And it's like, bro, when is enough going to be enough? The FBI, yeah, they're going after watch list terror, putting parents that go to school board meetings. This shit drives me crazy.
Kicking down doors.
Yeah, if the FBI isn't there, PBD, getting the names of all these assholes that were saying death
Adam,
to America, we're
what are your
fucked.
thoughts?
Sorry.
Well, look, you're getting a little glimpse of what Israel and Jews have to deal with every single day. The guy says this is the logical chant shouted across the world today. Logical. This is their logic. This is their mindset. To me, this is just raw emotion. We know the difference between logic and emotion. But how do you combat this? I'm trying to come to this from just a logical sense. I agree
How to
with,
combat it, Adam?
No, meaning,
that the FBI goes and finds.
Okay.
If you say death to America,
Yes.
guess what that means? Anything that you could do to F us up here, maybe somebody comes to you and goes, "Hey, go blow this up or go do this."
So
that is bull. That is horrible.
So welcome to the beauty of freedom of speech and the beauty of America. I'm totally cool with what he had to say. And I'm Jewish. I have family in Israel. And I'll say two things. This is why I believe in freedom of speech. I want this person saying this so they can be exposed. You know, the famous phrase, transparency, sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. I want to know what this guy has to say.
So do I, but Adam, do you don't think that they should get, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
You don't think somebody that said death to America and you're living in this country, I don't trust you.
Believe me, I think the FBI or the CIA should be tracking these people.
They won't be, but they won't be. Trust me, they won't be.
Well, we'll find out about that. But
unbelievable.
You know, that's the beauty of living here in the confines of America is you can say this and you know what's going to happen? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
But the problem is, if you're, this to me is not even like a Jewish thing or an Israeli thing. This is an extremist thing. When you're saying death, I need this, they're a cancer, they must be eliminated. This is exactly the mindset and the ideology that must be thwarted.
So there's two sides to this. First of all, the price of free speech is free speech. Mm-hmm. Nobody liked what the American Nazi Party marched in Ohio and had their rally in the park, and they got a permit, and nobody likes what they said. It's horrible. But the price of free speech is free speech. But when people take action on free speech, there's serious problems. And calling for jihad is calling for violence, and it's calling for violence against people. And this is, we may not like what they say, but we've given them a platform under our beloved Constitution to have free speech. And, you know, with free speech, sometimes you have to wince. And I really wince when in their free speech, they're condemning the very foundation that gives them that free speech, which is America itself and her beloved Constitution. And so this frustrates the hell out of me.
And that's fine, PBD. And Tom, I get, and I'm with you. Free speech, go ahead, say it. But there could be consequences for your stupid, ignorant rhetoric.
Inciting a riot is illegal.
Yeah,
Taking action against others is illegal. And you know what? There's going to be downstream consequences from this kind of thing.
And Tom, what I'm saying is, guys, all it takes, Adam, one person in that crowd that's kind of weak-minded. Okay, death to America. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to drive my car into a group of people because of that idiot right there. I say, go back to whatever country you think is better than this place. Get out of here. Leave.
Vinny, I'm actually gonna ask PBD a question, but
that's when
see how you're feeling right now.
I'm always like this, though.
No.
That's not listen. And I get what you're saying with the Israel. Adam, I get it. But this place, this amazing place, you could say it. You could still get punched in the face too. FYI.
Yeah, I'm just
about my country.
This is sort of new to America. We're seeing this in America. Americans saying death to America. Okay, among the Middle East extremists, ideology is pervasive. I mean, how many times in Iran did you hear death to America?
All the time.
Death to Israel.
That's not a big deal.
This is standard protocol.
America. I heard a lot of death to America. I didn't hear a lot of death to Israel. What I remember as a kid was death to America in Iran. Mm-hmm. But I remember also the Shah was not a fan of the amount of influence that Zionists had over media. That was his deal. His deal was very different than what Khomeini is saying. Khomeini is saying they don't even deserve to exist. That's not what Shah was saying. Shah got along with everybody, and there was peace in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. But Shah of Iran said different things about Zionists in media when he was being questioned by Wallace. And
I remember.
Is this the interview? Is this the one where he...
This is a still of... Oh, yes, this is it.
Can you play it?
Well, pressuring, they have many means at their disposal. They are putting up pressure on many, many people. And at the end, I don't think that it will even help Israel.
Why, if this is true, why would the President of the United States pay attention to that lobby?
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
Controlling what?
Newspapers. Medias,
Your Majesty.
Banks, finances, and I'm going to stop there.
Well, now wait just a second. You really do believe that the Jewish community in the United States is that powerful? They make the media reflect their view of foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They do not report, we do not report honestly?
Don't mix things, please. I don't say the media. I say in the media they have people. Not the entire media. Some newspapers will only reflect their views, yes.
No? The New York Times, for instance, is owned by the Sulzberger family, who are Jewish. Are you suggesting that the New York Times is biased in its treatment of the question of Zionism, Israel's existence, the United States' relationship with the Arab world?
Don't put words in my
I will
mouth.
have to put all the articles.
So you can pause it
of the New
right here.
York
So
Times.
he had a different position than the one Khomeini had. So he got along with Israel. He just didn't believe the amount of control that media had. Khomeini on Israel was a very different position. He just didn't believe they deserved to exist.
Yeah,
These are two different philosophies. So when you think about like the other day, I'm at a soccer game. This guy walks up to me, okay? And I'm like, okay, let's see what direction this is going to go. His shirt says Palestine or Palestinian something. He says, hey, PBD. I said, how you doing? Good. I said, so what's up? He says, I watched the podcast. I said, cool. He said, I like some of the stuff you have to say. He said, some of the stuff I don't agree with. I said, really? Tell me what you don't agree with. Well, when you guys do da-da-da-da-da. And I said, okay, sounds good. He was a diehard Candace Owens fan, big Candace Owens fan, big Jimmy Dore fan, a couple other guys.
Yep.
I said, so what do you disagree with? And we're just kind of going through it. You know what happened? We had a phenomenal 15-minute conversation together at the championship game that Dylan had, right? Phenomenal championship game. That's not the same person as who you saw right now in Michigan chanting death to Israel and death to America. There's levels to this madness, right, of what position you take. Now, some of them don't want to say it, but deep down inside, even this guy didn't believe Israel deserved to have land. He's like, no, not necessarily. Okay, but now that they have it, we got to make it work. But there's a lot of people that don't believe Israel should have ever gotten the land. And they have animosity towards that, right? Well, why would you put it in the middle and all this other stuff? But the point here with this is there's levels to it. If you're living in America, you hate America, very easy. Get out of here, go to wherever else you want to be. You don't have to be here. That person, if that person's from, let's just say, Iraq, that person's from Afghanistan, go back to Afghanistan.
Why?
Yeah, go back to Iraq. Go back to wherever you want to go to. But if you're going to be here, you have to be proud, just like running a company. I've ran businesses, even today, out of, say, out of 100 people, that you're going to do comedy in front of 150 people, right? Or let's just say you go to an audience that don't know you.
Okay.
You're speaking in front of 1,000 people. How many of them you think at the end are going to love you?
Love me?
Love you.
Out of 1,000?
Out of 1,000.
And they don't know me, they've follow
never
me?
met you. How many of them are going to like your style of comedy?
Let's say, well, I think half at least.
Okay, that's the point.
They're going to be like, yeah, Vinny's
How many
great.
people are going to say that guy's annoying?
Well, I'm pretty sure the chats, there's at least 9 of the number. Let's say...
I'm saying comedy.
Out of 1,000, 100 people in that 1,000 can be like, nah, he's not my cup of tea,
Okay,
maybe
perfect.
more.
Now, I go give a speech about business, okay? And this 1,000 audience first time. It's not like a Vault Valley Timon audience.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking to a new audience, right? Yeah. 1,000 of them. How many of them are going to say, this guy makes a lot of sense?
I'll say 600 to 650.
But let's just say it's the same number as you're given. Okay. The point is, you're not going to win everybody. And even at a company, you know what's the first question I ask of someone? Do you want to be here? Listen, I had a person that I was working with, and this person I went up, this was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Tom, you didn't remember this person. I'd say, so listen, can I ask you a question? Yes. Do you like your job here? Honestly, I was just really doing this to put on my resume because I want... No, then let me help you get another job.
Yeah.
Because all I want is I want people that love their jobs. If you don't love it, I don't take it personally. I don't go to sleep trying to win everybody over. But go to a place that you love your job. Here's the problem. Those people have changed 10 jobs and they never loved any job. Mm-hmm. Because it's always been somebody else's fault, right? In this, if you hate America and you love your country, simply just go back to your country. Yeah. That's all you need to do. Rob, something's happened to the audio, like increasing.
I hear, you hear that? Yeah, because they could easily go back to their...
Heard some pop.
So that's...
Yeah, what is that, Rob?
Do you hear it or no?
Phone at him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's not me.
I hear like a wave. Oh, it got worse.
You don't hear it?
Yeah, I hear it for sure.
I hear it. Does the chat hear it?
I don't know if the chat hears it. Let me see if they hear it or not.
The Hamas brigade doesn't want us talking about this.
It's raining.
Is it raining outside?
You hear it sounds like.
See? Yeah, something's going weird. I hear like static.
Guys in the studio. Okay, it's better now. Yeah.
No.
They don't hear it. We only hear it. So it's fine.
Okay.
All right, let me continue with the next story. So by the way, you know what this leads me to?
Yeah.
This leads me to the next story. RFK undercuts Democrats on J6, saying little evidence of true insurrection. Okay? Independent presidential candidate Robert Kennedy issued a statement criticizing the prosecution of J6 protesters, acknowledging wrongdoing but questioning the portrayal of the event as an insurrection, stating, reasonable people tell me there's little evidence of a true insurrection. Kennedy expressed concerns about the possibility of political motives behind the prosecution of J6 defendants, highlighting a broader pattern of government agencies being used against political opponents, asserting, without the impartial rule of law, there is no true democracy or moral governance. He proposed appointing a special counsel to investigate potential abuse of prosecutorial discretion in the January 6th case. So you know what this means? So in one instance, you have something where a group of people are screaming death to America. Nothing happens to them. In another instance, 1,000 people get arrested for not being happy with what takes place. The government gets to pick and choose who to demonize and who to edify and who to idolize. In this instance, they chose to demonize 1,000 Americans that were simply not happy with what the government was doing. They intentionally figured out a way to demonize these guys and arrest these guys. Tom, what are your thoughts on this with RFK?
We have to remember, why did they call it an insurrection? Why was that word so important to the Democrats to label it an insurrection? Because that was the word that was in the Constitution that gave them the right to take action.
Correct.
So they had to call it an insurrection. That was the only way they could do it. And now you have sane people. You've had sane people in the judiciary, by the way, liberals and conservatives, who have all said the constitutional intent behind the word insurrection was not this. This was a protest that, we can all talk about the protests and the number of agents that were in there and the fact that the doors were wide open.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Hey, come on in here. Hey, can I help you with your big fuzzy hat with horns?
Yeah.
So what is going on here with Kennedy is he is correctly pointing out that the word insurrection is not being used, number one, and then he's correctly pointing out, he says, hey, why don't we just appoint a special counsel to investigate potential abuses of prosecution discretion, abusing prosecution discretion in these January 6 cases. Nobody wants to do that because that exposes the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the fact that you blended those two stories together is absolutely perfect. January 6th, like our friend Steve Schmidt, the worst day in American history. No.
Worse than 9/11.
My bad. Thank you thank you. Worse than 9/11. These guys are on camera saying death to America. That to me is a threat. Like you want something bad to happen. Meanwhile, this grandmother who was just standing outside waving a flag, she gets arrested. Like give me a freaking break. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Well, I'll kind of marry the two things together. The 14th Amendment, an insurrection or rebellion against the United States of America. I don't personally think it was an insurrection. I think it was. I don't know. I don't think that that's what the intention was. At the same time, I will say that it was a very ugly day for America. I think it was a protest that got completely out of hand by a few bad actors. If there's 1 million people there, if a couple hundred idiots.
Yeah.
Beyond that, maybe were the ones, those people should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Fully agree with that. But the 99% that didn't do that should not be. But it was a protest. But I'll say this. This commentary, this death to America, death to Israel, everything happened in what state?
Michigan.
It happened in Michigan. Correct. We've seen what's going on in Michigan. By the way, if Biden doesn't win Michigan, the election's over. That's the blue wall. Michigan, everyone up in the Pennsylvania area. So Biden is pandering to these people. Whereas insurrection, these people, there's nothing to pander to. They take it down to the fullest extent. So there's a story here about how much money Biden just raised, $90 million.
Whatever.
Here's what I'm telling you. All that money is going to go to ads just showcasing January 6th.
Yeah.
There's two things. Threat to democracy, showcasing January 6th, and they're taking away your ability to have an abortion.
Yeah.
Those are the two things the Democrats have against Trump.
But I hope, and I know our viewers kind of, the majority see on on how we think. And Adam, when you said I'm happy that you said it wasn't an insurrection, because it wasn't. It was a protest. But when you say bad actors, you know who the bad actors were? Ray Epps, obviously a Fed, telling people to go inside. The FBI shooting rubber bullets to make the crowd attack. To the Trump supporters, the fake FBI Trump supporters that were dressed as Trump supporters on the inside, basically setting up like that. They're going to go all in, you're right, on that insurrection stuff. But I hope to God people realize nobody had guns, nobody died. The only female that got shot and killed was Ashley Babbitt, and she was murdered by a Capitol Police officer. That's it.
I'll tell you where I agree with you, and I'll tell you where I disagree with you. I agree that there's Ray Epps' character and there's people out there inciting, but then you're saying that the people don't have personal responsibility. If someone says, bro, go in there and do it,
that's Ray Epps.
It's on your dumbass that went in there and do it.
Yeah.
So those people that listen to Ray Epps, they should be held accountable.
But wait, bro. I get that. Totally get that. But you fell for Russia collusion Trump. You fell for it. So did a lot of people. So did Michael Rappaport. Okay? That's manipulation. Okay? John Maxwell, I was saying this to a guy Sunday at church. Right after church, we were having a meeting. John Maxwell said something very powerful from stage that I caught 20 years ago. I was in my mid-20s. He says, the moment you learn how to persuade, be very careful to not use that skill set to manipulate.
Wow.
Very careful to not manipulate. Persuasion, you can learn. Manipulation is one step away. When the government uses these events to manipulate the masses, it's effective. It works. It fully works. The other day, a guy said something on Twitter and tagged me. He says, yeah, look at Patrick. The reason why Patrick didn't go to Glendale to do that event with the Armenian mothers is because they were not willing to pay him his $250,000 speaking fee.
Stupid.
That's why. All he cares about is money. His girlfriend. And I'm like, didn't comment. I'm like,
good.
Okay. But all I'm watching is to see who falls for that. And I watch. I'm like, oh, okay, he believes it. That guy believes it. There's power in lies. Because what they don't know about is the fact that we wanted to do it at Dudley Rutherford's hall, that he opened up, shepherded the hills, the church, with 3,500 people. But the groups from each city wanted me to go do individual podcasts. I said, I don't have that bandwidth. Then I said, guys, the halls you got is 200-300 people. I want to fill it up with 3,500 people that don't want to do it.
Yep.
There was no speaking fee. You were on these calls. I was on every call. You were on these calls, yeah. But the point is, this guy who's got 110,000 followers, who actually does pretty good content. I've seen his stuff. He's very good. He's manipulating. He knows he's doing that. So he either fell for somebody else's manipulation or he's causing it himself. So the point I'm making to you, Adam, is it is very, very effective. And sometimes the smartest people can fall for this trap. The gift of manipulation that the government uses to have access to something that the average person simply doesn't have access to.
I fully agree. And it works both ways. You know, so
you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Fully, because it's like telling your kid, "Hey, if somebody offers you cocaine, what happens with the mic, guys?
Popping.
What is going on with the mic, Rob? Do we know? Like, it's popping left and right. I don't know.
Yeah,
something keeps popping with the mic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you.
Yeah. No.
It just got worse, Rob. Whatever you did.
Yeah, it just got worse.
I don't know what's going on.
But they're not hearing it.
No, they're hearing it. So now they're hearing it.
Well, whatever you just plugged in, I think it just did it. That made it worse. Sounds like we're at the beach. Yep. Oh.
Yeah, it just got worse. It got worse. It got worse. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. Maybe one of the guys from out there can come in. We'll try this for a few more minutes. If it continues, we'll just finish up the podcast because it's.
But it works both ways.
Nah, I mean, if the people are listening to this, this is too disturbing. We'll stop it. If they tell us continue, we'll continue anyways. But you tell your kid if a guy offers you cocaine, tells you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you do it, part of it is on you. Right?
Yeah.
The other guy's converting you, but you could say yes or no to it as well. So I agree with that as well. Let me go to a couple other stories. Vinny.
Yes, sir.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you read something last night. You want to tell us what you read last night with a journal you read last night?
All right. So, and I'll give a quick synopsis. So, back in 2020, a diary was left behind by Ashley Biden. Nobody stole anything. Amy Harris, who lived at the house, discovered the diary, was under the bed, along with Ashley Biden's clothes, luggage, pills. So Amy, her and her friend, because Rob's going to have to play this, this lady calls James O'Keefe, and she goes, listen, We found this thing. It's under the bed. Rob, can you play that? The video. This is the lady that they found it, and she's reporting finding this thing. Rob, can you play this clip?
My family, their friend who owns a house down here in Palm Beach, was renting it out. I don't know how, but this is a while back. But anyway, a new renter moved in, and Ashley Biden was staying in this room, and they found her diary, all of her clothes, luggage, pills. Anyway, diary is pretty crazy. I think it's worth taking a look at. It's not a joke. It's real. And I'd love to get it into your hand.
Okay, so now, ready for this, guys? So this lady finds it, PBD. Her and her friend are like, hey, I'm going to go to a Trump rally. I'm going to try to sell it to them. This is good, you know, what's it called, Tom? Like opposition research when you try to damage the other political opponent.
Yep.
Yeah. So Trump campaign says they can't use it. Trump and them say go to the FBI. So they can't. So they go to James O'Keefe to verify. It's verified. The Department of Justice raids 2 of James O'Keefe's and Project Veritas' houses. And think about it. Have you ever heard of the FBI raiding somebody's house for alleged stolen a diary, which is ridiculous? So this just...
Oh, we have now.
Well, think about it, Tom. This just proves that the FBI is biased and runs the left because they protect Joe Biden. All right, just like when they set up with the Twitter... the FBI was at Twitter for all the negative stories. Now, regardless, the diary is real, guys. Like they authenticated the diary. Not only did prosecutors confirm the diary as being authentic, but Ashley Biden also recorded calling Project Veritas to get her stuff back. Rob, can you play the audio? This is Ashley Biden calling Project Veritas to try to get her stuff back.
Hi, is this Ashley Biden?
This is she. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I just wanted, so I heard you have a few of my belongings, and so I was going to ask if you could please meet my friend, Eric, who is down in Del Rey, if you could meet him and get this up to him.
There's a diary here. It starts in January. It says, January at the end of a New York month, I'm sitting on a bed at the I building.
Yeah, so if you could just give everything that you have to Eric, that would be really great.
I don't want to give this to the wrong person.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to make sure.
At this point, and I don't mean to. I don't want to have to get Secret Service involved in this, right? Because it's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I am Ashley Biden. It is my stuff. So if you could just give all of that over.
It is my stuff.
Really...
Okay. And again, so everybody's worrying about, oh my God, they stole. Let's just be honest with each other, guys.
The daughter said it is my stuff.
It's her stuff. So besides the fact that the Biden kids keep leaving things behind that's incriminating the family, one has to ask, like, and we talked about this yesterday with Shane and Connor, is this, PBD, could this be a cry for help? Hunter Biden leaves 2 incriminating laptops at the computer repair shop with videos of him doing drugs with what appeared to be underage girls. His daughter is leaving a diary, which I've never heard of somebody leaving a freaking diary behind. It's as if they're doing it on purpose. And then I read the diary, like I said, I'm going to have Rob put the link up. But guys, Ashley, in the Bible, in the diary, which I'm going to read right now, PBD, she was contemplating whether her father was sexually inappropriate with her when she was a little girl. She mentions in the diary showers with her dad and also talks about them being not appropriate. This is what I'm gonna read to you guys. She said, and Rob's going to put the link in there. I think I'm going to an AA meeting tomorrow night, and maybe he will be there, maybe not. But I always have been crazy, and I remember pulling up my skirt in 2nd grade and showing the boys my underpants. Hypersexualized at a young age. What does this due to? Was I molested? I think so. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember not liking the Woolzacks house. I remember somewhat being sexualized with Carolyn, and here's where it gets crazy. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Showering with my dad, probably not appropriate. Okay? It just stopped. Showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. Being turned on when I wasn't supposed to. And then she keeps going, and this, she says, I'm not going to get into that because it's pretty bad, but she goes, I could list all the reasons, but I can't seem to find the solution. And there it goes again. But she wrote that Joe Biden was brought into tears for his daughter just before a Democratic primary debate, PBD, because he knew that if this got into the wrong hands, this was going to get out. and people are going to know about it. Because think about the national threat, Tom. If China or Russia gets a hold of this diary and they find out that, the president was, from her words, sexually in the shower with her, molesting and doing all that type of stuff, I think it opens up a can of worms that's insane.
Tom.
I think this is horrible, and I've read portions of the Bible,
the diary,
the diary that have been made. Now you got me doing it.
Yeah, my bad.
That were made public, and this is a person talking about her journey with AA and a very troubled past, and it must be terribly embarrassing for her for this to be made public. But the other part of this is this appears to be an abused minor that is in the household of the President of the United States, and implicating the president himself in parts of this. And I find that to be horrifying. I find the fact that her brother is also deeply troubled to be horrifying. And it comes back to parenting, and it comes back to things.
Yeah, and at Rob, it's that mic. Just blow it up. Just unplug it. There we go.
That's the mic.
Adam, it was Adam this whole no, joke, it's not you. But and then okay, that's perfect, because then once Rob gets in here, I'm gonna say something. So she writes all this stuff. And I'm gonna have Rob put the link up there, guys. She's saying all this stuff, and look at what this type of childhood, if it is true, which it's her words, not mine. Look at what it has done to her. Overly sexualized in AA and all this. And Robbie, can you do me a big favor if you get a chance? Could you play? It's not like we don't have a history of Joe Biden being what Joe Biden does. Can you please play that video that I sent you earlier in my Slack? And as if Joe Biden hasn't showed us. I know allegedly Tara Reid said that he pushed her against the wall. This is during the Democratic debates, and he penetrated her. Guys, this is the guy that Ashley Biden constantly wrote about in her diary and why she is. Look, play this clip.
There you go. And then we're going to have.
Look,
got it? Okay.
Look at his hands. Just look at Joe Biden's freaking hands. Look, and this girl wrote about what he like. Look how uncomfortable she is. Look. How uncomfortable is this child? And look at the parents. What are you doing? What are you doing? Look at his hand. Look at his hand.
No, not smile. No date till you're 30.
Yeah.
Hey, Angel, how old are you? You're 12. What's your name?
Rubbing her hair.
How are you? The problem is, you guys, you got a hard time.
And you also have the actress. All right, remember the actress that met him?
Yeah. Look, even the
was that Eva Longoria?
Eva Longoria grabbing her.
Moved
look. He's pitching this little girl. This girl's 8 years old. I forgot her name. She's an 8-year-old girl. She posted something about how uncomfortable that moment was. Yeah, pause it. So I want to ask you a question, PBD. Yeah. As a father, and I know you have little kids, and I think my friend Brady talked about, with his 2-year-old, he had shorts, but he was showering because he was trying to. Have you ever heard of someone taking showers with their kids at an inappropriate age where she can remember and write about it? And you see how he acts. You see how he does. In 2018, Rob, he had a video where he sat there and had to apologize. He goes, listen, I know I'm touchy. I know I'm handsy, and I got to get better. When you see that, and the fact that he has control of the FBI to go raid James O'Keefe's place just to get a diary back, that doesn't. When have you ever heard something like that? That just shows you that the left, the Democrats, own the FBI. I don't get it. These are her words. I didn't make this up. She's saying I was over-sexualized, young showers with my dad, not an appropriate age. Well, how as a father does that bother you when you hear shit like that and you see him doing stuff like that?
Yeah, the part that stuck out the most is when the daughter said, yeah, that's my writing. I wrote it, but you need to give it back. I don't want to get Secret Service involved. The fact that she said that's my writing, they can't say that's not her writing.
Exactly.
The person who wrote it just said that is my writing, right? I don't know if you heard that, Rob. If you go a little bit more further.
Oh, yeah. Right there, because he wants, and by tactic, he wants to make sure it's hers. He goes, we read this Bible. Is this a Bible? I keep saying Bible because I do read the Bible. This is her diary.
Right there, pray from right there. Right there. There you go. Listen.
At this point, and I don't mean to, I don't want to have to get Secret Service involved in this, right? Because it's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
But, I am Ashley Biden. It is my stuff. So if you could just give all of that over, I would really.
It is my stuff.
It is.
There it is.
So there it is. So, but the question, so now, okay. So the question now becomes, what's going to happen?
Absolutely nothing.
But the part about absolutely nothing is also predicated based on you don't yet know if there's one thing Trump knows how to do. Okay, who's the underdog? Trump or Biden? Who's the underdog?
Oh, Trump.
It's 100% Trump's the underdog. Okay. In life, there are a few different types of fighters. Okay, there are a few different types of fighters, and you'll relate to one of them. And when I explain this to you, this will make sense to you. There are those who are very good at winning as underdogs, but they don't know how to win as favorites. Let me explain. Okay, so this kind of makes sense. Trump beat Hillary as an underdog or a favorite?
He was the underdog.
The ultimate underdog. Like no one, we are at 3:30 in the morning, Tom and I are on the phone saying, what the hell what just happened, Tom? Is this guy the president? He's the president. Bill Burr goes on, what's that guy's name? The one with the weird hair who's very Conan O'Brien. He says, I guess he's our president. Yeah. He says, but listen, you think this? The hockey, the U.S. Olympic thing, the whatever, the Dodgers doing this, or the Mets, or the Yankees, all these things, the Steve, whatever home runs, nothing ever comes close to this. Nobody ever thought this guy's going to win, right? He was the underdog. Then he's the favorite. He didn't know how to manage being a favorite. He didn't know how to do it against it because as a favorite, you can't use the same tactics. Like it's not fair. They're not doing this. So as a favorite, sometimes playing as a favorite in his personality, he plays too aggressive and it comes across arrogant as a favorite. Sometimes when you're a favorite, you have to play a little bit like giving up to the people, the workers. But then now he's back at being the underdog. The guy knows how to win as an underdog. So meaning the same way, if there is a debate and he had those 3 ladies that Clinton was accused of raping, 3-4 ladies that were in the place, and
Juanita Broderick, the whole crew.
He had to look at him, and Hillary had to look at him. Those are moments. Trump knows these types of moments. All there needs to be is one debate with Biden. All there needs to be. For him to have a couple guests in the audience to put up there, Tony Bumlinsky, or have all these other people lined up. Let me tell you who I have here in the audience. I got this guy, I got that guy, I got this guy, I got that guy, I got have you seen and then he'll take something out of his pocket. Have you ever seen, and she said this is her diary.
She said it.
Trump's going to say it.
Yeah.
And this is her diary, her words. She said while she was being interviewed, this is her diary, bring you back or else I'm calling Secret Service. Whose daughter have you ever heard read something like this in her diary? Trump's capable of these moments. These types of moments are moments that can help him win the entire thing. That if he knows, he can. Even Snopes says unproven. And by the way, in Snopes, you know what unproven means? True.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the story, what really, it says this, PBD, it says, while there is strong evidence the diary exists, no source has authenticated its contents.
The daughter did. The writer just did. What are you talking about? She said this is mine.
Yeah, it's her. And
Snopes, what else do you need aside from actually saying I wrote it?
Yeah, that's coming from the horse's mouth. And by the way, and I think people are going to cease to figure out the story is DOJ seeks prison time for the woman who stole the diary. Guys, she found it under a bed, and guess what? She said, holy crap, I have something. Let me try to sell it. And guess what? Talk about that. Okay, it's bad. It's not good. It's immoral. That's okay. Put that to the side. The diary, the content is real, and this just goes back to behaviors of elite pieces of scum that know that they can get away with anything that they want. Rob reported a story a while ago about all the Epstein tracking airplane phone logs, and guess what the majority of them flew back to, Rob? What was the most condensed place, Robert, of all the people going back home after they went to the pervert island?
Wait, explain it a little bit. You're talking about the pings on the cell phones
Rob,
on the island, and then the pings of the cell phones back on the mainland.
Yeah, so Rob, what was that one piece?
There were 160 different pings.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, my mic's.
Oh, okay, so the majority of the people that flew to Epstein Island and then they went back home, the major hub of them, guess where they flew? Washington, Virginia, that area. So my point, Pat, what drives me crazy is you hear the girl, what she's saying. You see his behavior live on camera when he's getting sworn in, touching these little girls. He's smelling all these kids. And nobody says anything?
No, it's not nobody says anything. A lot of people say a lot of things. There's different things, Vinny. In when you run a company and you run a good-sized company and you have a lot of employees and a lot of salespeople, there were certain people that thought they could get away with murder. They can't, okay? Everybody knows a negative crowd. You know who the negative crowd is? They all hang out together, and they all think they're right. And the negative crowd will try to do one thing. They'll try to get the person that they think they can convert to be a negative, like you. They'll come to you and they say, I think we can convert Vinny to be a negative. And then it's your choice to not fall for the negative crowd. The negative crowd always parties together. They have lunch together. They have dinner together. They complain about their bosses together. They complain about their jobs together. They complain about everything together. I don't know why. Every place I ever worked, from military to Bally's to Morgan Stanley to World Financial to, everywhere I've ever worked, I don't know why negative people find each other. I don't know why. And they are by far 100 times better recruiters than positive people. Positive people have a hard time recruiting because the message of being positive is hard, because the onus is on you. It's personal responsibility. Is what are you doing about it? Is why don't you improve? Can you not be, challenge yourself, read some books, do this. The negative crowd's like, what's a book going to do for me? He has all he wants to do is read, right? So meaning, the people that don't want to believe this and they're going to vote a certain way, you can't do anything to them anyways. They're part of the negative crowd. They're just going to buy and they're going to be like, yeah, whatever. They're just trying to make it up. Stupid. Why would she ever write something like that? She wouldn't write something like that. They're part of that crowd, right? And then there's the middle crowd, the independents that are sitting there saying, what if this is true? You ever gone down the rabbit hole of a topic you were curious about and you're like, oh my God, what if this is true? 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 And you're like, maybe this is true. And then those people are going to flip. And you have to trust the fact that American people, as it gets closer and closer, trust the manipulators, trust the those who are going to play games. Trust the fact that the next 7 months are going to be ugly as hell. They're going to play so many games the next 7 months. Trust me, it's going to be insanity. But I trust in the independent voter who can think for himself and herself. I believe in that person.
Could I ask you one question?
Yeah,
PBD?
of course.
The pattern.
Yeah.
She leaves a diary under a bed.
Sure.
Okay. Hunter goes to the repair shop, leaves these 2 laptops with the laptop.
Sure.
Do you feel maybe, Pat, that these kids are doing it as like a cry for help? Like, come look at what the hell we've been through? Because they're both really messed up.
And the way you have to look at it is you have to put everything on the board and consider which one's going to be what and put some odds behind it. Could be a slight likelihood. This is a rally. This is a method of these guys crying for help. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what he did to us. This is what happened with me. I'm turned out like this. Like this guy hooked up with his brother's wife.
I know, God.
Can you imagine? Like
dead brother's wife.
Dead brother's wife. Yeah. So these are things that, again, I trust the independent voter who has the ability to reason, who is the willingness to be wrong, who is willing to accept that the ideas they got in the past that they supported were wrong, and who loves America and is typically a joyful, happy person. I believe in those guys. I'm leaning on those people saving this great nation, and I think they will. I'm on board. Yeah, I think they will. So anyways, let's go to the next story here that we got. Next story, Tom. I'm going to go to school district opens new multipurpose center to help with workforce training and learning space. This is Dallas. I love hearing stories like this. Tom brought this up, and we're definitely going to go into it. Rob, do you have a video of this? I think there's a video here somewhere that we can show. Classes in session, and students are immediately out the door. That's how they do it in the OC, a complex that looks straight out of Silicon Valley, but it sits on the woods southeast of Dallas. If you can play this clip so the audience can get an idea what this place looks like. Go for it.
At the intersection of Inspiration Boulevard and Innovation Way sits an experiment in education.
We think this is the future of education.
It is certainly something that has never been done before.
It's not like school, because when people think of school, they think like, oh, just a bunch of kids going in there to learn. You really have like more experiences here, so it doesn't really feel like learning when I'm here.
Forney ISD's newest campus is called Opportunity Central.
It's the first we found in the nation with any sort of concept like this or any kind of building like this as well.
Upstairs are classrooms Downstairs is where students really learn.
I don't describe it as my high school. I would describe it as...
This is high school.
Maybe a job. Like, I think you have responsibilities and you get to learn as you go, just as someone would in their own job.
Businesses are moving in on the first floor of this campus. Eddie Dean's is opening a barbecue restaurant. Mary Sue's Hot Chicken is coming. So is Southern Social Eatery. Down the corridor, a salon has signed a lease, and construction is almost complete on Martin's Automotive around back.
They'll run a business out of this.
Pine and Ivy is a home decor boutique and the first business to open its doors here.
One is named for each of the high schools.
Meg Wagner agreed to mentor 15 Forney high schoolers. In exchange, the district gave her a discount on her lease.
The fact that I will be able to work with and mentor students, it's a win-win for me personally, but I think it's an opportunity to give back to the community as well.
That's amazing.
Tom.
Well, first of all, there's some other facts in here. It cost $100 million. By the way, you had business leaders get involved with the school board to build this. And this place was built for $100 million, $100 million less than the budget that the ISD originally had for it. And let me tell you what these businesses are doing down there. They're giving kids not just the opportunity to work there and make a couple bucks. You know, people say, oh, you're just using the kids for labor. No. The purpose of the kids working with these is understanding how to run a business, whether you are buying raw materials to make the candle or you're running the auto shop. It's about running a small business and what does it take to do that and getting the kids exposed to it. 1/3 of the total square footage is dedicated to those entrepreneurial experiences, and the other 2 floors is a regular high school with regular classes. And this is basically some sanity coming, and it's wonderful. And it's happening where? It's happening in Texas, where they're trying to reach out and saying, go upstream. You've heard me talk about upstream and downstream problems. You go downstream, let's fix the problem by charging people $1 billion in taxes. And other people want to go upstream and say, well, maybe let's see if we go upstream and stop the problem from starting in the first place. And they're going into high school to say, when you graduate high school here, not only will you have your regular high school education, you are going to have the experience of having been able to work with a number of small businesses, talk to the business owners, see what it's like, and oh my goodness, maybe find another path in life for yourself that leads to success.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great, people. And sorry, Adam, I know you want to go, but especially with the AI stuff that we saw is going to be taking over, those girls are learning the trade. They're learning something else on top of school, which I think is fantastic.
Adam.
Well, I think we've covered this before, where basically college is a scam for many people. For certain people, it's great if you're going into the fields of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, everything like that. But for many people, and we've had Mike Rowe on the podcast before, we've had people that talk about this before. For men, there's so many opportunities out there. It's a blue ocean out there for trade and for trade schools, and becoming an HVAC guy or an engineer or a carpenter or a plumber. These guys make 6 figures. It's dirty jobs. But at the end of the day, these jobs are going nowhere. AI is not replacing your jobs. For many women, whether it's hairdressing or certain skills that you learn at technical schools like this, artistry, makeup, we know the makeup industry is going nowhere. At the end of the day, college is not worth it. We see student loans skyrocketing. As they always say, degrees pay fees and skills pay the bills. Go learn some great skills that never fail you.
Tom, where's that story about the number of kids that are dropping out? Oh, there it is. So more students are dropping out of college. Check this out, page 11. More students are dropping out of college. Let's see this here. Here's why. CNBC story. 1 in 4 students at risk of not completing college. A significant portion of undergraduates, particularly those who are first-generation minority or low-income students, are contemplating dropping out due to financial constraints and other challenges, with roughly 26% seriously considering leaving college or facing dismissal. Money is a main concern. Rising college costs and student loan debt are major factors driving students to reconsider their education. About half of those at risk of dropping out, citing difficulties meeting tuition, interesting, and related expenses such as textbooks and housing. And the last one is staying the course is crucial, seeking alternatives, funding options such as scholarships, and finding ways to manage expenses. Tom, thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, CNBC hid the ball on part of the story. I dug into it. Here's Let's read there. Dropping out of college due to financial constraints and other challenges. You know what some of those other challenges were? 40% of students are studying things that when they walk out of school, they can't use that thing to go, I studied European art history. Really? So you know where the European, you know where the Renaissance art came from that's hanging in the museum? Yeah. Okay, what the hell does that do for you?
Yeah. 16th century French poetry.
You're going to win a game they played back in the 80s called Trivial Pursuit?
Look at this here, by the way. Look at this here. The average tuition and fees adjusted for inflation from 1970 till today. Look at the baby blue one.
Right.
That's the nonprofit. That's the private nonprofit 4-year skyrocketed from $10,000 now to $40,000.
And then the other side of it is they're getting gouged horribly on tuition to learn about this history. So there are some students here that are studying business or STEM that have legitimate family constraints in being able to pay for college. That's legitimate. But in the CNBC stories, PBD, they left out the 40% of students that say they are graduating with something, if they can finally pay for it, that they can't freaking use. And so I think that part is embarrassing. You're going to tell the story, CNBC, tell the whole story. It's very fashionable to say, oh, it's the colleges run by liberals that are spiking up the tuition at the hands of the liberal board of trustees and then petitioning the government to forgive the student loans so they could charge the next crop.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, college is not about education. It's about ROI. I don't remember one class I took in college, maybe one, it was called listening, and I failed. So
obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But college is about an ROI. If you go to college and you don't get a return on your investment, what's the point? These days, Tom, you talk about this all the time. It's not about education, it's about indoctrination. But what's the ROI on your degree? Half of all graduates are working in a field or in a job or in a profession that is not what they majored in. What's the freaking point? Again, I went to college. It was worth it for me, but most people it's not. And unless you're in the STEM field, medical, law, there's a lot of times that just not worth it in the end. Dropout rates. How many people start, stop, finish, don't get degrees? Then you have interest rates. When I was in college, 2.5% was the interest rate that I had to pay Sally Mae back. Now it's 8%.
Jeez.
So the numbers just don't add up. And they say that college is 4 times more expensive, but what you learn is exactly the same, maybe even worse. Not worth it.
If you can do an on-the-job training and learn from some, of course, aside from the STEM, but if you can work under somebody and shadow under somebody to learn from them all day long, go do it instead of what they're doing right now. And even Tico the other day said something. He says, Dad, I think when I graduate high school, I don't know if I'm going to go to college right away. I'm going to take 1 year off to work at a job and a couple things I want to do, and then see if I even need to go to college, and I'll consider going back. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do later on, Tom.
And a closing point on this, I won't say the name of the company because Pat and I were at it was a private discussion, but a major U.S. Fortune 500, definitely, right, Pat, said that they are looking at what is the performance of the people that come into their company from college, and they stacked ranked the colleges, and they were finding things like the University of South Carolina, an engineer did as well as coming from Ivy League schools, and they even mentioned that they were deprioritizing recruiting from Harvard, and they prioritized recruiting from, and they named a couple state schools. You know the conversation I'm talking about, Pat, right? So you've even got companies that are looking at it right now and saying, wait a minute, 3 years in, what was the performance of this kid from Harvard, and what was the performance of the kid that went to NYU or the University of South Carolina? And they were finding direct correlations that, yes, you have a lot of smart kids that come out of schools, but they're looking at the performance once they start training them in their business, using them in their business, and they're finding, hey, there's another thing. Adam was just talking about ROI. These are companies looking at ROI saying, well, maybe you didn't have to spend $360,000 at Harvard. Maybe, spending $100,000 at a state school, and you could have secured the same job at the same wage. And at the end of the day, the company is like, I got the same out of that guy.
There you go. Makes sense. There's different alternatives nowadays. Next story I want to go to is the Vatican blasts gender-affirming surgery, surrogacy, and gender theory as violations of human dignity. Let me tell you a little bit about this story. Hang tight for me. Okay, here we go. The Vatican's infinite dignity declaration, approved by Pope Francis, categorizes gender-affirming surgery and surrogacy as grave violations of human dignity, equating them with abortion and euthanasia stating it follows that any sex change innovation as a rule risks threatening the unique dignity the person has received from the moment of conception. Rejecting the notion of gender theory, the Vatican underscores the biological differences between man and woman as ordained by God, about time, warning against attempts to alter this plan, stating biological sex and the sociocultural role of sex gender can be distinguished but not separated. Tom.
I think it's very, very interesting that this comes out from the Vatican and not coming out from the Pope himself. And the Pope's been ill recently, and there's been conflict between the Pope and the Vatican and what they call, not the Vatican, but the traditionalists within the Vatican who have had issues with Pope Francis going way out on a limb on what they feel is liberal and more progressive stances. And the Vatican traditionalists have been trying to rein this in. So this is not the Pope coming up, make a statement. The Pope's been in ill health, and we hope he gets well. But I find it very interesting that this isn't the Pope talking. This is the Vatican speaking in a general statement, pulling back to traditionalists after we've had 4 years of a Pope that's kind of going out there on a limb talking about more liberal things. The last time a Pope suddenly went out on a limb was John Paul I, who lasted 33 days, and there's been persistent stories and investigative reporting that felt that after 33 days that he was very quickly offed. So you can go back. You can go back to that. And that was, I think, 1979, 1980 that happened.
It's great to see the Church and the Vatican and the Pope taking a firm stance on this with everything we're seeing.
Well, don't say the Pope. He just made a good point. Okay. I was just going to ask you guys, do you think the Pope, if he's ill will and God help him, but what if the way that he's been acting, I think he'd be all in for the gender-affirming kid. What do you think, Tom?
No. This goes the other way. This is them saying...
That's the Vatican.
Vinny's asking a different question, Tom. Listen to Vinny's question. Go ahead.
I'm saying this is the Vatican thing. You made the point that he's ill. He's not involved. My question to you is, Tom, do you think that him personally, that this is a decision that he agrees with? Or do you think he'd be, from the way he's been talking for the past 4 years, it seems to me like he'd be like, yeah, let them chop off whatever they want to chop off.
The clearly worded statement is not aligned with a lot of his very progressive statements that have been also carefully worded, but when you put them side by side, they're different.
Yeah, notice how this comes out while he's sick. Now they're like, you know what, we're going to talk and we're going to lay down the law while he's not feeling well.
Yeah, we're one grassy knoll short of a new pope.
Yeah, no shit.
Then on behalf of, on behalf of the Vatican, it's good to see that they're going back to their biblical roots. I'm old school. Some of you guys are more new school, Old Testament, Genesis. They you know what they say about God and man and woman in Genesis, that God created man in his own image, and the image of God, he created man, and the female, he created them, and then he blessed them, everything with that. There it is right there. Man and woman created in the image of God, implies that God has ownership over their lives and will one day pass eternal judgment. That's not the quote. Oh, yeah, so God created man in his own image, and the image of God created him. So, yeah, they're going back to basically the basics. Genesis, old school. There it is.
Yeah, but again, it's good to see this is happening.
Finally.
Because some of the stuff they were up to was a little bit...
fishy?
Fishy is an understatement when you see some of the stuff. But let's talk about something here. Yeah. Southwest Airlines flight makes emergency landing in Denver after engine falls apart of Boeing 737 plane.
Dude.
We have the clip, Rob. Can you play this clip?
Could you imagine, Tom? Look, we're sitting next to each other and that's happening.
Southwest 3695, and we'd like
would you be freaking out?
What do you mean? I'd be praying, Ryan. That's the freaking the engine, the outer part of the engine. That might be a windshield? What the hell was that? Dude. What?
But they're about to take off?
No, they landed, emergency landing.
Shit.
So a Southwest Airlines flight made an emergency landing in Denver after an engine cowling fell off and struck the wind flap during takeoff. The Federal Aviation FAA confirmed the incident, stating Southwest Airlines Flight 3695 returned safely to Denver International Airport. The Boeing 737-800 was towed to the gate. The FAA will investigate. Southwest Airlines released a statement prioritizing safety. Our customers arrived at Houston Hobby on another aircraft approximately 3 hours behind schedule. We apologize for the inconvenience of the delay, but place our highest priority on ultimate safety for our customers and employees. Vinny.
Boeing has become the DJ Khaled of airline mishap. It's like, and another one. It just doesn't stop.
We're the best.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're the worst. And do you guys remember about a month ago, I said sitting right here, it's going to be only a matter of time till, God forbid, something bad happens. And it's like every week, literally, there's another mishap with Boeing airplanes. They're falling apart. And I wanted to ask you, PBD, when it comes to because you interviewed the lawyer, right? He was sitting here. You guys had your one-on-one. Do you believe that this guy, what was his name? The whistleblower that suicided himself. I don't believe it. I 100% believe somebody of a powerful nature off the guy, made it look like he killed himself. And somebody told me the other day a really good point. That lawyer, now he's saying, you represent this client, you're saying, oh yeah, 100% he killed himself. How do you know? It almost seems as if you were paid aftermath, just shut up, just let it go. Here's some money. Just say that he was. So did you believe this guy when he sat here and talked to him? I'm very curious.
I mean, the commentary was terrible of what people said about him. The way he was giving his answers.
Like, what do you like?
He seemed like a nice guy, but at the same time, some of the stuff that he was saying, he says, no, he was always a Boeing fan. I said, is he a man of faith? Was he a man of faith? And he says, yeah, he was a man of faith. I said, then why would a man of faith commit suicide? If he believes in God, you know. Well, was he a pretty optimistic guy? Yes. So why did you guys ask him to stay for one more day? I think it was in New Orleans or wherever the
deposition
was.
On Saturday, yeah.
So why'd you ask him to stay one more day? Well, he chose to do that himself. And then when they called his mom and dad said, hey, he really wanted to come home. And there's just a lot of weird stories with that. Now, he's not the only one. There's another guy. They're representing multiple whistleblowers, not just one person. So it's not like the level of dirt that maybe they're doing something dirty. I don't know about that. Could a Boeing come to them and offer something on the side and play dirty? Of course they could do something like that. The company lost how much money over this incident? Did you see it? Can you type in Boeing market cap? I think the number we did was $40 billion.
$40 billion?
Yeah, they lost nearly. Go to market cap. Can you go to market cap? Go 6 months. Go 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, they lost $50 billion.
$40 billion. So it doesn't. So when people are like, you guys are crazy, they would never. I don't think people understand whacking one guy that's making you lose $40 billion, because look at the timing. He just killed himself, suicided himself, and now every week planes are falling apart. Everything that he said corroborates everything that he's saying. Then they can't shut down all the planes. They can't ground all these flights. They'd go bankrupt, Tom.
Well, I want to hear the FAA research on this, because there's two sides to it. The first side is we have got whistleblowers saying that there are quality issues at Boeing on new planes that are being sold to U.S. airlines that we are sitting on flying from here to there.
Yeah.
Which scares the hell out of you. The second part of it, when the United, and I said this before on the podcast, when that United flight lost a wheel, it was improperly attached by the ground crew. They changed the tire on the plane, and they didn't. It was put in place, and it wasn't bolted down. So the plane goes down the runway, takes off, and the wheel fell off, and the wheel just like whoops. Fred's on the ground. Hey, I'm back from lunch. I want to bolt that thing down. Where's flight 270? It's right there, dude.
Yeah, my God.
And there's the tire. And so the question you have here...
How much of this is, Tom, the fact that, when you go, you think about a car, you see it everywhere. You're like, oh, I'm going to buy a Bronco. I don't ever saw Broncos. No, so you see Broncos everywhere. How much of this is the fact that the moment the story came out, now every week there's a new story? Or was it the fact that these stories were always there, we just never paid attention to it?
I think that some of these were there. Certainly not. Dude. Certainly not flames shooting out of an engine and the which was an engine failure. It was doing what it's horrible. But there's another side to this, is the airlines squeezing a lot of profit out of things. And they've had very contentious labor negotiations with the mechanics unions. And I think you've got some sloppy maintenance that have been happening on here. And on one hand, you got Boeing. On the other hand, you got airlines trying to squeeze profit out and sloppy maintenance. Yeah, but there's two sides to this. Both sides scare the hell out of me. The sloppy maintenance scares the hell out of me more than the Boeing aircraft at this time.
This is by the way, stuff like this. If I was Spirit Airlines, this makes Spirit Airlines now. Like I would do a commercial and be like, Spirit Airlines, yes, our staff is rude. And yes, we even charge you for.
No.
But at least we'll get you there.
Yeah, and yes, we even charge you for emotional baggage. But hey, our shit doesn't fall apart at $30,000 fee.
Spirit Airlines, the airline that can't afford to crash.
And then another thing to consider is the stock buybacks. You follow the money here, but in 2017, during the Trump tax cut, a lot of companies were flush with cash, and they didn't use it to invest into R&D or into improving workers. What do you call it? The
training or
the
whatever.
training, exactly,
Yeah.
or anything like that. They went and lined their pockets, and their decision. And then Boeing, they were more interested in their stock price going up than their plane staying up. So this is on the airlines, this is on the CEO, this is on the manufacturing, this is also on. Everybody's to blame here. And then the coup de grace is now everybody's got a smartphone and social media, and they can just post it, boom, and it hits the airwaves, and they better act right, or one of these guys are going out of business.
Fortunately, the FAA is a government agency, and the Secretary of Transportation, his past work experience, he has a PhD in aeronautical. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Pete Buttigieg.
He was a small town mayor. I misread that.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah. So, Rob, can you pull up that video, the $2 million home video? Check this out. This is a Newsweek story. Squatter bars landlord from his own $2 million home. Dude. So squatter Sang Kim has barred. This is crazy to think about. Landlord Jaskaran Singh from his $2 million Washington home after refusing to pay rent for 2 years.
What?
2 years. Singh, a Bellevue landlord, is holding second protest rally on Saturday after 2 years of Kim living in his rental property without paying rent. This rally will call for Kim to leave the property immediately. While Singh legally owns the home, he's been forced to stay off the premises due to a temporary protection ordered by, this is insane to me, by Kim. This means he must stay 1,000 feet away from the property he legally owns.
Dude.
During the rally, family members and landlord rights supporters are expected to show in mass numbers, and a GoFundMe support of Singh has so far raised $1,000 with a goal of $100,000. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip.
Unbelievable.
I'm in Bellevue right now in the Woodbridge neighborhood. There are dozens of protesters getting ready for a massive rally. This is the house here right now where Sang Kim is staying, allegedly not paying the rent for months now, costing small mom and pop landlord thousands of dollars. This neighborhood is absolutely irate here right now. Look at this. You've got folks here taking photos.
I know you.
Of saying, hey, how you doing? Look at this. They're getting really personal here right now. Signs that say Sang Kim leave now. Dirty Sang Kim. Fix broken system. Saying
Fast forward
stop
a little bit, Rob,
embarrassing
to
your
see
family.
the video of him. Go a little bit forward. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
They're
keep
going to
going.
the house? Okay. Wait.
Yeah, right there. Go ahead.
If you do not leave, I will call the police for the trespassing.
Dude, I would put
Mr. Kim
these in
just
the
want
house.
your side of the story. What are your thoughts on the protesters?
I would get a beehive and throw it.
Aren't you the one technically trespassing?
Dude.
There you have it. He came to the door. Came to the door and says he's going to call the police on me for trespassing.
Open the door now.
I mean, you've got angry neighbors here. Looks like people are resorting to vigilante justice potentially at this point. I mean, you've got a lot of angry neighbors. So,
what do you do in that situation? Like, I would break a window. I'd get a beehive, and I would break the window and throw it inside and have them run out.
You can't do that.
I can do whatever the hell I want. It's my house.
Listen, bad policies have consequences, and this is
sting, Tom.
The state of what? State of what?
Is it
Washington?
Washington.
Washington.
Is it? Wow, is that a blue liberal state? Oh wait, Seattle. They built that nice area downtown to give comfort for the rioters, and yeah. So you expect this? Guess what, folks? There's no property tax there, and there's less rain and no property tax in Texas. Come on down, move somewhere else. You'll find tech jobs in Austin. Housing prices are down in Austin. You want to live someplace and you want to rent your home out, and this is the way the law supports or doesn't support you.
Watch how much he lost. He lost $80,000 in not paying rent.
Dude.
But guess what?
He's paying for it. He has to pay for it, or else he loses the house.
And by the way, he's caught up and has paid in full, according to Newsweek, on his property taxes that he has faithfully continued to pay on a home that all he did was rent it.
So I actually have a logistical question here. This guy didn't pay rent for 2 years. Does he not leave the house? Does he not go to work? When the guy's not there,
can't you just run?
Can't you just get in there and lock him out, change the locks?
I have no idea.
Hire a locksmith?
Not without a you can if the sheriff will come and put the eviction order on the door, and it has like 14 days, 30 days, and on that 30th day, in the presence of a sheriff administrator, you can now come in and complete the process.
Bro, you make a fake call to a locksmith. Hey, I'm locked out. Bing, bing, bang. Change the locks. Bing, bang. We all know this situation. And you don't even have to pretend you're in person. Hire there's got to be a way
Is that
around
the guy,
this.
Rob?
2 years?
Because the video I sent you, the video doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I think this might be.
Yeah, that looks like the same door.
Go ahead.
He doesn't understand this, system here in state.
All these How is the Korean community interpreting what's happening here?
They are not aware of this. They're usually landlord or hardworking business people. They would never imagine a Korean descendant taking advantage of this poor, broken system like this and embarrass not only his family, but entire community. So I was chanting, if you're not going to pay, you shouldn't stay there. And I also called them out as a con man. Sagikun. Sagikun means con man in Korean. What this is going to do is I'm going to provide high-resolution picture of them and ask all the Korean medias to post this on their newsletter and online website, and actually have him get famous. Every restaurant he goes, every Korean restaurant he goes, every Korean market he goes, so everybody recognizes him. That way, he's not only just embarrassed to move out of the place, but move out of the state.
You have to shame them.
Vinny, I'm going to trigger you here. Okay. What did he say? I'm here rightfully, and this isn't. No. He, the owner, doesn't understand the system in the state. This is no difference from the ranting that illegal immigrant did, trying to explain to people, giving them a case study how to squat. Now, he also seemed to forget that he had some child support and some other issues, and then he's been arrested, and now he says he's being persecuted. Yeah. But whoops, guess what? There's more pages in the law book that I guess he forgot to read.
Yeah, a dirtbag.
So, by the way, shout out to you, Tom, for finding that thing during the weekend about what's going on in Florida.
What's happening?
What Ron DeSantis posted?
Oh, yeah.
You have
Ron
that, Rob?
DeSantis.
This
Do we
is a
have
great
that
little
tweet
thing right here.
I love it.
And what
they don't play that again. Rob, I sent it to you on Slack.
Slag-a-lag.
Here it is, right here.
What's it say?
I'll explain this, Tom.
So there's an alligator that got through. So apparently,
No, it's not going to work if you don't show the picture, Rob. You got to show the picture.
Scroll down a little bit.
Zoom in. Yeah,
there we go.
That.
So apparently a homeowner had a front door open with the screen door closed, or a back door or something, screen door, because it's spring in Florida, very nice out, letting some fresh air came in. Well, what also came in with the fresh air was a 7.5-foot alligator that just leaned on the screen door with his 300-pound body and just kind of clunk got inside. And DeSantis has reposted it with, big guy must have missed the memo. No squatting in Florida.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Good for him for showing a little bit of humor. I'm going to go to the last story here, and then we'll wrap up. Is this one. This is a big story. Trump says states should chart their own path on abortion. This is the reason why this is a big story, is because 2024 election, this will be one of the top 5 issues for this topic. Is this the video, Rob? Go ahead and play it, please.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that.
There you go. That's his position. Let me read this a little bit more. Trump said on Saturday that he welcomed the prospect of going to jail for that's a different story. President Trump said abortion should be left to the states, avoiding taking a position on the number of weeks at which the procedure should be banned, as he tries to navigate an issue that has animated Democrats He explained that in the video. Trump's stance is unlikely to please religious conservatives who want him to embrace tougher restrictions, and one prominent group quickly expressed its disappointment. So obviously you're not going to be able to please everybody, but he did give his position on where he stands with this. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I think, I stand, I believe we should protect life. And when you start making laws around it, you better be careful, because there is a slippery slope that's there. Once you create a law and you put it in the hands of the government, you allow them to wield it, to amend it, and to change it, which is what happens. Just ask the Netherlands. So number one, I'm pretty clear on my stance, around life and the preciousness of life. The second part is he is taking a very constitutional position, saying the states decide state things and allowing each state and the will of the people to vote on that. So he makes a clear position on abortion, but then he turns around later and points out, not differently, so it's not a but, he's like, the will of the people, the states will decide. And guess what? That's the way our Constitution's written.
By the way, this is going to be, navigating through complex issues, a skill set most people don't have. And this is a very, very complex and sensitive issue. If you don't navigate through this in a sensitive fashion, you could also lose some of the conservative women votes that you're going to need. You have to share what you believe in, but do it in a way where it's sensible and respecting the other side, and at the same time showing that you have certain values and principles that you're not willing to compromise, and knowing that no matter what position you take, you're going to be criticized by some group, and you have to understand that comes with the territory. There is not a single position you can take when it comes down to the topic of abortion that you're going to get 100% support. Nothing. Whatever you take a position, be sensible about it, be respectful about it, and then navigate through the questions that he's going to get in the debates, in the interviews, when he starts going through campaigning. This will be a top 3, top 5 issue in 2024 election. Adam.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. This is a complete losing issue for Republicans, especially amongst women. And the way that he just said, look, I'm in, I'm out, easy, simple, leave it up to the states, let them deal with it. That's the best thing that Trump can do. Don't get bogged down on this issue. When I was interviewing all the women at Model Volleyball, I asked them, what's the most important issue to you? We would interview 100 models.
I think you need to be specific. When you interviewed all the men and women at Model Volleyball, but go
Let's
keep
be
going.
honest.
Yeah.
99 women, 1 trans woman. But
Frank,
I asked them what their number one issue was.
Yeah.
I mean, the number one issue in the country right now is immigration, the border, everything that's going on there. Inflation's out there. Everything that's going on in the culture wars, debt, gun rights, everything. To women, this was their number one issue. In fact, nationally, 1 in 8 people in America, this is their number one issue, and the vast majority of them are women. So Trump has to win the soccer moms, the independents, the movable middle in order to win this election, especially in the Midwest. This is a losing issue for Republicans, and the way, if Trump just has to delicately deal with this, get in, get out, don't make this the issue that loses the election. By the way, Democrats, in 2007, 63% of Democrats said that this was their top, for women, believed in the legality of abortion. That's now up to 80%. Republicans have stayed steady at 39 to 38, so that hasn't moved much. This is a major, major issue for women.
Meanwhile,
don't get involved in it. Trump.
Meanwhile,
yes.
The governor that went even further right than this pre-announcing was DeSantis, right?
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. But recently, DeSantis woes donors in South Florida and holds his fire against Trump. This is a Politico article a couple days ago. Governor DeSantis convened a retreat for his donors in South Florida, focusing on securing Florida's future and expressing gratitude to his supporters, with attendees reminded multiple times of the 3-year timeline to advance the state's conservative agenda. One donor, Robert Salvador, recounted the emphasis on leveraging the remaining time to uphold Florida as a beacon of freedom. Despite the nearby Trump fundraiser, DeSantis avoided direct references to the former president and concentrated on Florida's conservative priorities, sidestepping discussions about his own presidential aspirations. Critics like Dennis Lennox voiced concerns over the retreat's timing, suggesting it might detract from supporting Trump's fundraising endeavors. So, Here's a question I got for you guys. And Tom, I'll come to you first. We know Biden raised $90 million, okay, and fundraising. In one day, Trump raised, I believe, $50 million on a Saturday fundraiser. And he came out and he said it took 3 presidents to raise $25 million at an event. I think that's the event that took place.
Yeah, in New York,
with
Stephen Colbert and
Obama,
Lizzo.
with Clinton and himself. He says it took just one person to raise $50 million in a day. Former President Trump raised over $50 million on Saturday event, fundraised 117 seats, guests donating as much as $814,000 each, aimed at closing his campaign cash deficit against Republican Joe Biden, who holds $192 million in hand. So while this is taking place, do you think there's going to be any chance, and does it matter anyways, where DeSantis is going to come out and say, I support Trump for 2024, Tom?
I believe he will. I believe that he's taking steps right now, respectfully holding his own rally where he's raising money for his gubernatorial campaign and for his administration and for the state of Florida on one hand, and then choosing not to interfere with the presidential candidate Trump's things going on across town. I think that's good. Now, it would have been a short walk simply to say, this is about conservative Florida and where we're going. And to get a conservative United States, not far from this spot, there is another rally going on. That's all he would have had to say. He could have called tipping the hat, kind of tip the hat a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he could have done that. But at least they chose to keep the hatchet buried and not go war to war with each other, because Trump may have a cash deficit, but if you look at the polls, he does not have an opinion deficit. And he appears to have some very strong winning arguments on immigration, inflation, and business. And so we'll see how it unfolds. But I believe, to your question, yes, ultimately DeSantis will, maybe it won't be a full scream of support, but will, I think, certainly express it.
I agree with Tom that it'd be smart if in the next couple months he does say, listen, all history aside, I do support him, because think about it. Trump, within 4 years, gone, stayed, whatever happens in the next 4 years, DeSantis, Vivek, that's the future. And if you're not getting the MAGA crowd behind you, then it's gonna be trouble.
Adam, what do you think?
Maybe I'm missing something here, but what does Trump give a shit about Ron DeSantis at this point?
He still lives in Florida. He still lives in Florida.
DeSantis, respect to you, you've done a great job. If I'm Trump, the last thing I'm thinking about DeSantis at this point, they're up 10 points in Florida. Florida used to be a purple state every once in a while. Look, born and raised in Florida, I don't understand the importance of winning Florida. How many electoral votes? 27 votes in Florida?
I think so.
This is now officially a red state. Shout out to DeSantis. Trump, at this point, why does maybe I'm missing the point here. Thanks to DeSantis, appreciate what you've done. Trump's moving on to states that are actually swing states. Florida's no longer a swing state, but it's almost irrelevant.
But for his political future, do you think backing him, like I said, and having that MAGA crowd be like, okay, what if DeSantis wants to run again?
If you're asking if DeSantis needs Trump,
well, that's what I'm saying.
1,000,000%.
Is he going to back Trump?
Trump needs DeSantis.
Yeah, no, that's
0%.
That's what we're saying. We're saying is, do you think DeSantis is going to come out and say, listen, I support Trump? I think
that was the question. That was a question Pat asked me. He said, "Do you think Ron DeSantis will come out and did it?" And
for
Pat,
sure.
Let's not forget. He already did.
Yeah.
But the way he did it in his own, like, a backhand way. He did it. I'm talking about, like, do you think he's going to come out campaigning like Vivek, going out doing that? I don't know.
I don't think Trump needs
but I
it.
think what he's saying is a very good point. I don't think he needs any of it.
By the way, and here's another story from the Daily Caller. GOP registered voters outnumbered Dems by nearly 1 million in Florida.
Wow.
You have that story right there?
The only influence would be if he had a national presence. Like, for example, DeSantis has a Florida presence. I think Newsom has a national presence.
Yes.
It's a different, and when I'm saying Newsom, I mean Biden's going to need Newsom to campaign for him, because Newsom is a national guy. I don't know if DeSantis is yet. He could be, but I don't think
that's a really
he
good
is
point,
yet.
because Gavin Newsom has basically put himself out there in a way that, he went to China, he went over things like this. And so when Newsom runs for president, I think.
Did you call him Gavin Nuisance or Gavin Newsom?
Listen, there's ceilings.
And by the way, I have
to go to speech therapy.
I have to tell you this. I actually like the DeSantis not running, in a big way. And I love the policies he comes out with, the way he leads a state. It makes me feel very safe as a parent. It makes me feel very safe as a business owner. Today, tomorrow he can change it up. But, you know, what he's done, when he goes up and comes out with policies, what he did with social media, you know nowadays, as of January 1st of next year, anybody under the age of 14, he's removing everything off of social media. If you're under the age of 14, you live in Florida.
Great.
And the only way you can be on social media at 14 and 15 is with parents' approval. So without parents' approval, you cannot use social media in Florida until you're 16 years old. Tell me you don't support that. Can you imagine he eliminates an argument with the parent? Yeah. So these are some of the policies that he's doing where it's like, listen, you protect the kids. We got your back. Keep doing what you're doing. You're a phenomenal governor. Respect to you. Yes.
Yeah, the data supports the governor in terms of the impact of young teens.
Now, you got to give him respect. I mean, listen, obviously, you know, when things get heated and all that stuff, but you got to give him respect on what he's done with this. Rob, let's get to the end of it. It's 11:30. I want to wrap up. And so for the people that were part of the raffle, Rob, this is the first 100 people that placed the orders, 50 plus, to get the Jesse Waters signed Get It Together book. That's going to be coming out to you. If you want to go ahead and give 3 raffles, if you can do that, we'll send these 3 to them. Go ahead.
Let's go, baby.
And we'll give the names as well. So
this is the signed one.
He thought this was making the noise. It wasn't. So if you want to write the numbers down and then tell us the name.
That's hilarious.
Fantastic. Go to the next one, Rob. He got another one. What we got here? Woo! What's the last one? Florina Leban.
Leban.
Listen, congratulations, all of you guys. Nice. The book's on its way to you. We will do another podcast. Rob, we got Thursday, right? Podcast?
Yes.
Yes? Sage?
Yes.
Okay, Thursday we got podcast with Sage Steele. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye. What's that?
Damon Dash as well.
Damon Dash is a one-on-one, though. It's just he and I.
Yeah.
Right. And the other one I'll tell you guys about, I don't want to say anything, but it would have to be a surprise. Once I announce it, it'll be a surprise live. You're not going to want to miss it because the person I'll be speaking with lives behind bars. Stay tuned. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Whoa. Wait, whoa. Wait.